Welcome to Table Read Tuesday, and today we're reading one of the best movies ever made, as voted by a lot of people on IMDb and everywhere else, 12 Angry Men. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. But tonight we're going to read the script that, did you say, Angelina, it got an Academy Award or the Oscar for Best Screenplay, I believe? I ask her right as soon as she leaves. But it won a lot of awards, and if you haven't seen it, definitely go watch it. So we're going to go around and introduce our readers today. And so, Heather, please.
Hello, my name is Heather Lee Cameron, and today I'll be playing Juror 6 and Juror 9. I've never seen this movie, but I'm looking forward to acting it out. I love you all.
After we read it, you're going to have to find it and see it at some point.
I've got a lot of movies I've got to see, but I'll focus
Yes.
on one at a time. So,
All right. And next, Vicki.
Hi, I'm Vicki Dykes. This is an excellent script. I was in a live play in 2015, and let me tell you, a girl likes to say I was in a play with 12 men, even if they are angry.
Awesome. And Don.
Don Lampasoni here. I'll be reading some actions, juror number 2, a couple other parts at the end. It's been a while since I've seen this, but I know that it's a good, great, excellent, amazing script.
Absolutely. And Toni.
Hello, Toni Flora playing juror number 8 today, as well as the judge. Thanks again for having me, as always.
Thank you for being here, as always. Angelina.
Hi, I'm Angelina, and I'll be playing 7 and 11, just like the story.
All right, we better get done before 11 or you're close. Just kidding. Remember those days? No. And we have brand new to Table Read Tuesday, Jerome.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. Thrilled to be reading with you. I know you're going to enjoy this. I'm Jerome St. Jerome, reading jurors number 4 and number 10. Thank you.
All right. And afterwards, we'll have everybody do an outro and tell more where you can find them and what they've been up to. So we are reading the 1957 version of the script. There is a remake of the movie that came out in 1997. And we found that this script may have missing pages and may have some gaps in it. So we might come across that. And also, this is a shooting script that has some scene directions, and we're going to skip over some of those ones that are specific to that. We'll read the action descriptions, but we'll skip over the rest for all those watching. All right. And with that, Don, please take us away.
12 Angry Men by Reginald Rose. Note: the notes on characters are extremely brief, since it is felt that what they are and who they are will be revealed in their dialogue and actions during the course of the film. Foreman, 35 years old, assistant high school football coach, a small, petty man who is at first weary and then impressed with the authority he has, handles himself quite formally, not overly bright, but dogged. Juror number 2, 38 years old, bank clerk, a meek, hesitant man who finds it difficult to maintain any opinions of his own, easily swayed, and usually adopts the opinion of the last person to whom he has spoken. Juror number 3, 40 years old, head of messenger service, a very strong, very forceful, extremely opinionated man within whom can be detected a streak of sadism. A humorless man who is intolerant of opinions other than his own and accustomed to forcing his wishes and views upon others. Juror number 4, 50 years old, stockbroker, a man of wealth and position, a practiced speaker who presents himself well at all times, seems to feel a little bit above the rest of the jurors. His only concern is with the facts in this case, and he is appalled with the behavior of the others, constantly presenting himself combing his hair, cleaning his nails, etc. Juror number 5, 25 years old, mechanic, a naive, very frightened young man who takes his obligations, in this case, very seriously, but who finds it difficult to speak up when his elders have the floor. Juror number 6, 33 years old, house painter, an honest but dull-witted man who comes upon his decisions slowly and carefully, a man who finds it difficult to create positive opinions, but who must listen to and digest and accept these opinions offered by others which appeal to him most. Juror number 7, 42 years old, salesman, a loud, flashy, glad-handed salesman type who has more important things to do than to sit on a jury. He is quick to show temper, quick to form opinions on things about which he knows nothing. She is a bully and, of course, a coward. Juror number 8, 42 years old, architect, a quiet, thoughtful, gentle man, a man who sees many sides to every question and constantly seeks the truth, a man of strength tempered with compassion. Above all, a man who wants justice to be done and will fight to see that it is. Juror number 9, 70 years old, retired, a mild, gentle old man, long since defeated by life and now merely waiting to die, a man who recognizes himself for what he is and mourns the days when it would have been possible to be courageous without shielding himself behind his many years. From the way he takes pills whenever he is excited, it is obvious that he has a heart condition. Juror number 10, 46 years old, garage owner, an angry, bitter man, a man who antagonizes almost at sight, a bigot who places no values on any human life except his own, a man who has been nowhere and is going nowhere and knows it deep within him. He has a bad cold and continually blows his nose, sniffs Benzodrine inhaler, etc. Juror number 11, 48 years old, watchmaker, a refugee from Europe who has come to this country in 1941, a man who speaks with an accent and who is ashamed, humble, almost subservient to the people around him, but a man who will honestly seek justice because he has suffered through so much injustice. Juror number 12, 30 years old, advertising man, a slick, bright advertising man who thinks of human beings in terms of percentages, graphs, and polls, and has no real understanding of people, a superficial snob, but trying to be a good fellow. Throughout the film, he doodles on a scratch pad, and the judge, the court, the guard, the two alternative jurors, and, if desired, the court stenographer. Fade in, exterior long shot, New York, Court of General Sessions Day. A large, imposing building, gray, impressive, as a background for the comings and goings of a number of ordinary people on an ordinary day. Camera holds on steps in building front from a distance and then dollies in slowly. The lobby. Seething with activity, people of all kinds walking swiftly, purposefully to and from elevators, newsstands, etc. Others standing, waiting, guards stationed at various posts. Camera pans across lobby and then dollies into a bank of elevators. A number of people crowd into one. The door closes. A long corridor upstairs. The elevator on left. Many doorways to various courtrooms on right. Each door marked with a hanging sign. The first sign reads Court of General Sessions, Part 1. The second sign reads Court of General Sessions, Part 2, etc. An elevator door opens and a number of people exit and walk down the corridor. Other people, men and women, stand in the corridor talking. The whole feeling is one of movement, activity, intense connection, concentration. Everyone has a purpose. Camera dollies down the corridor, following group of people who exited from elevator. People peel off from the group at various doors. At each door stands a guard. People move in and out of the doors. Camera reaches the door marked Part 6 and pans around to face the door. A guard stands in front of it impassively. No one else is in front of the door, as compared to knots of whispering people in front of all the other doors. The case going on in part 6 obviously has very little general interest. Through the glass window of the door, we can see far in the background the judge at his bench. He is facing to his left and talking. We hear nothing. He stops and turns to his right. He raises his hand as if calling a waiter. From the noise of the corridor, we are now in the death-like stillness of a courtroom. A hand places a freshly filled pitcher of water on the tray. A pair of hands fills a glass from the pitcher. Camera pans with glass as it is raised. Camera holds on close-up of judge drinking the water. He finishes, puts the glass down, and turns to the left again. He clears his throat, then begins to speak.
Pardon me, gentlemen. To continue, you've heard a long and complex case. Murder in the first degree. Premeditated homicide is the most serious charge tried in our criminal courts.
From jury's angle, seated in the jury box, listening intently to the judge, we see the 14 members of the jury. This includes the 2 alternates who sit on the far right side of the jury, one behind the other. The jury sits in numerical order, reading from left to right. The foreman through number 6 in the front row, numbers 7 through 12 in the rear row. As the judge speaks, camera dollies slowly in, still holding on jury, but excluding the alternates.
You've listened to the testimony and you've had the law read to you and interpreted as it applies to this case. It now becomes your duty to sit down to try to separate the facts from fantasy. One man is dead. The life of another is at stake. I urge you to deliberate honestly and thoughtfully.
Camera is now close on numbers 1, 2, 7, and 8. It begins to pan slowly right. Number 7 fidgets endlessly. Number 10 sniffs as if he has a cold. Number 3 looks coldly off in the direction in which the defendant sits. All other jurymen watch the judge, listening intently. As the judge finishes his lines, cameras on number 5, 6, 11, and 12.
If there is reasonable doubt in your minds as to the guilt of the accused, a reasonable doubt, then you must bring me a verdict of not guilty. If, however, there is no reasonable doubt, then you must, in good conscience, find the accused guilty. However you decide, your verdict must be unanimous. In the event you find the accused guilty, the bench will not entertain a recommendation for mercy. The death sentence is mandatory in this case.
The judge pauses for a moment. There is a stillness in the room. The judge's profile fills the left side of the frame. In right background, we see the jury box.
I don't envy your job. You're faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you, gentlemen.
There's a pause. The judge turns away from the jury and nods in another direction.
The alternate jurors are excused.
All of their heads turn to camera right. Self-consciously, the 2 alternates rise and move awkwardly out of the jury box. When they are gone, we hear the clerk.
The jury will retire.
The members of the jury look hesitantly at each other, each reluctant to be the first to stand. Finally, number 3 stands up. Then the others begin to rise and file slowly off left until the jury box is empty. They file through a long corridor, then through one door, then another. They are silent, serious. All we hear is the sound of their footsteps. Credits are superimposed over the scene. The room is empty, silent, save for the sounds of traffic 12 floors below. In center of the room is a large scarred table and 12 chairs. There are 4 other chairs against the wall opposite the windows. Along one wall are 3 windows through which we can see the New York skyline. On the opposite wall is an electric clock and an electric fan. At one end of the jury room is a coat rack, on either side of which is a door, one lettered men and the other lettered women. Against the 4th wall is an old-fashioned water cooler. There are pencils, pads, ashtrays on the table, nothing else. The room is drab, bare, in need of a painting, Camera holds on room and then dollies in toward the door as we hear footsteps outside. The door is opened by a uniformed guard. On the door are lettered the words jury room. The guard stands against the door, holding it open as the members of the jury file into the room. He holds a clipboard and pencil, and we can see his lips moving, counting the jurymen as they enter. 4 or 5 of the jurymen light cigarettes immediately. They move into the room. Juror number 2 goes to the water fountain. Juror number 9, the old man, enters hastily and goes towards the men's room. Juror number 7 enters the room last. The guard steps into the room and closes the door. Again, he begins to count the jurors. Camera slowly pans with number 7 as he walks across the room toward the windows. The foreman has seated himself at the head of the table. Number 11 and number 4 also sit at the table. Number 11 begins to make notes in a little pad. Number 4 reads the newspaper. The others move awkwardly about the room. They're ill at ease, do not really know each other to talk to, wish they were anywhere but here. There is no conversation for a moment. Number 7 reaches the window. Camera's on him, and number 6, who looks out at the skyline. Number 7 offers a stick of gum to him. He shakes his head. Number 7 offers gum to number 8, who also looks out the window. Number 8 smiles.
No, thanks.
Number 7, the gum, and mops his brow.
You know something? I phoned up for the weather this morning. This is the hottest day of the year.
Number 6 nods and continues to look out the window.
You'd think they'd at least, sir, I can't read that. They'd at least sir condition the place. I almost dropped dead in court.
He
Okay,
reaches-
gentlemen, everybody's here. If there's anything you want, I'm right outside. Just knock.
He exits, closing the doors. Camera dollies back to include juror number 5, the youngest juryman, who watches the door. We hear the lock click. Number 5 half grins self-consciously.
I never knew they locked the door.
Or they locked the door. What'd you think?
I don't know. I just never occurred to me.
Number 10 gives him the look of a professional know-it-all and then turns and takes off his jacket. He walks across the room to coat rack. Camera dolling with him. He passes the foreman, who stands at the head of the table, tearing up little slips of paper for ballots, and stops.
Hey, what's that for?
Well, I figured we might want to vote by ballots.
Great idea. Maybe we can get him elected senator.
Number 10 laughs until he begins to cough. Moves off to the coat. Number 3. Who's number 3?
When to say, ooh,
That's
when to say anything against it, but I'm telling you, sometimes I think we'd be better off if we took these tough kids and slapped them and real hard before they make trouble, you know? Save us a lot of time and money.
Number 2 looks at him nervously, nods, gets up and walks to the water cooler. Camera going with him. He pours himself a drink and stands alone sipping it. We hear movement in the room during all of this and quiet ad-lib conversation. Number 2, big in foreground, sipping his water. Number 3 is hanging up his jacket. 6 and 8 are looking out windows. 4, 11, and Foreman are seated at the table. 7 and 10 are at the far end of the room talking quietly. Number 7 lets out a raucous laugh. Number 9 is still in the men's room. Number 5 walks towards the water cooler. 12 is walking over to windows. Camera dollies in on 12. As camera nears 12, 7 calls out to Foreman. 12 stops walking.
Hey, how about getting started here?
Yeah, let's get this over with. We've probably got other things to do.
Well, I was figuring we'd take a 5-minute break. I mean, one gentleman's in the bathroom.
Number 7 shrugs and turns back to number 10. Number 5 walks over to the foreman as number 12 continues over to number 8 at the window. Camera moving in with them. Number 3 continues business of hanging up his jacket and goes to sit at the table.
Are we going to sit in order? What? I don't know. I suppose so.
Camera moves in tight on 8 and 12. 8 is thinking hard, biting his fingernails. Number 12 looks out at the window over his shoulder.
Not a bad view.
Number 8 nods.
What do you think of the case?
Number 8 looks at him questioningly.
I had a lot of interest for me. No dead spots. Know what I mean? I tell you, we're lucky to get a murder case. I figured us for a burglary or assault or something. Those can be the dullest. Say, isn't that the Woolworth building?
That's right.
Funny, I lived here all my life, and I've never been in it.
Number 8 looks out the window. Number 12 looks at him for a moment and then walks away. Camera holds on number 8 for a moment. He stares out the window. We hear number 7 laugh again.
Yeah. And what about the business with the knife? I mean, asking grown-up people to believe that kind of bushwash?
Well, look, you got to expect that. You know what you're dealing with.
Yeah, I suppose.
Number 10 blows his nose vigorously.
What's the matter? You got a cold?
And how these hot weather colds can kill you. I can hardly touch my nose. Know what I mean?
Number 7
Got over
nods.
one.
There is an awkward pause. Number 7 looks at his watch, then he looks up at Foreman, who is standing at the head of the table.
What do you say, Mr. Foreman?
Foreman, big in foreground, standing at the head of the table. Number 7, number 10 in the background. Number 3, number 4 seated at the left of the table. Foreman looks around at the wall clock. Number 3 leans over to scan number 4's newspaper.
Anything exciting going on?
Number 4 looks up at him.
I didn't get a chance to look at the papers today.
I was just wondering how the market closed.
I wouldn't know. Say, are you on the exchanges or something?
I'm a broker.
Oh, well, that's very interesting. Listen, maybe you can answer a question for me. I have an uncle who's been playing around with some Canadian stuff.
The foreman turns around and, as if it is an effort, calls out loudly to the others.
All right, gentlemen, let's take seats.
There's a slow movement towards the table. Number 3 shrugs and number 4 turns to the foreman.
This better be fast. I got tickets to a ball game tonight. Yanks in Cleveland. We got this new kid, Majewski or whatever his name is, going. He's a bull, this kid.
He shoots his hand forward and out to indicate the path of a curveball.
Shoom, a real jug handle. Where do you want us to sit?
When he gets used to this minor authority, he will enjoy it. Right now, he's still nervous.
Well, I was thinking we ought to sit in order by jury numbers. 2, 3, 4, and so on. If that's okay with you, gentlemen.
What's the difference? I think it's reasonable to sit according to number. Let it be.
Foreman has looked back and forth a bit anxiously at this exchange. Now he relaxes and sits down. Camera holds. Now, where Foreman's head bad close-up, we see number 2 in a medium shot sitting in the side chair. He gets up and the camera pans with him to the table. Camera pans down the table. Number 2, 3, 4, 5 are seated. 6 is hanging his coat on the coat rack. 7 is draping his over the chair. 8 still stares out the window. 9 is in the bathroom. 10 is walking towards his seat, mopping his brow. 11 and 12 are seated.
What was your impression of the prosecuting attorney?
11 looks at him.
I beg pardon?
I thought he was really sharp. I mean, the way he hammered home his points, one by one, in a logical sequence. It takes a good brain to do that. I was very impressed.
From side, shooting towards window, 8 stares out window, thinking.
Yes, I think he did expert job.
I mean, he had a lot of drive, too. Real drive.
Okay, let's get this show on the road.
How about sitting down?
8 doesn't hear the foreman. He stares out the window,
The gentleman at the window.
turns startled.
How about sitting down?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's pretty tough to figure, isn't it? A kid kills his father, bing, just like that.
Well, if you analyze the figures.
It's the element. I'm telling you, they let those kids run wild up there. Well, maybe it serves them right. Know what I mean?
This is an annoying characteristic of number 10's. This forcing an answer with, know what I mean? As if he is saying, listen, you better answer me because I'm somebody. See, Number 4 reacts by looking squarely at number 10, nodding and turning back to his paper. Number 8 has sat down quietly by this time. Number 11 has looked curiously from 10 to 12 during this exchange.
Is everybody here?
The old man's inside.
Would you knock on the door?
Number 6 gets up and starts for the bathroom, camera panning with him.
Hey, you a Yankee fan?
No, Baltimore.
Baltimore. Oh, the suffering. That's got to be like a hit in the head with a crowbar once a day. Listen, who they got?
Camera stayed on 6. He reaches the bathroom door and is about to knock when 9 opens the door.
I was just coming to get you.
I'm asking you, who they got besides great groundskeeper?
We'd like to get started. Number
Forgive me,
9.
gentlemen. I didn't mean to keep you waiting.
He begins to walk towards his seat as does 6.
Baltimore.
He is still standing. He looks around. This is the moment for his big speech.
All right. Now, you gentlemen can handle this any way you want to. I mean, I'm not going to make any rules. I mean, we want to discuss it first and then vote. That's one way. Or we can vote right now and see how we stand.
He pauses and looks around.
Well, that's all I have to say.
I think it's customary to take a preliminary vote.
Yeah, let's vote. Who knows? Maybe we can all go home.
From opposite end of the table.
It's up to you. Just let's remember, we've got a first-degree murder charge here. If we vote guilty, we send the accused to the electric chair. That's mandatory.
I think we all know that.
Come on, let's vote.
Yeah, let's see who's where.
Anybody doesn't want to vote?
He looks around the table. There is no answer.
All right. This has to be a 12-0 vote either way. That's the law. Okay, are we ready? All of those voting guilty, raise your hands.
7 or 8 hands go up immediately. Several others go up more slowly. Everyone looks around the table as the foreman begins to count hands. 9's hand goes up now, and all hands are raised except 8's.
9, 10, 11. That's 11 for guilty. Okay, not guilty.
He slowly raises his hand.
1. Right. Okay, 11-1 guilty. Now we know where we are.
Boy, oh boy, there's
Lowers his
always
hand.
one.
8 doesn't look in his direction.
So what do we do now?
Well, I guess we talk.
Boy, oh boy.
Well, look, do you really think he's innocent?
I don't know.
I mean, let's be reasonable. You sat in court and heard the same things we did. The man's a dangerous killer. You could see it.
He's 19 years old.
Well, that's old enough. He knifed his own father 4 inches into the chest.
It's pretty obvious. I mean, I was convinced from the first day.
Well, who wasn't? I really think this is one of those open and shut things. They prove it in a dozen different ways. Would you like me to list them for you?
No,
Then what do you want?
nothing. I just want to talk.
Well, what's there to talk about? 11 men in here agree. Nobody had to think about it twice except you.
I want to ask you something. Do you believe his story?
I don't know whether I believe it or not. Maybe I don't.
So what'd you vote not guilty for?
There were 11 votes for guilty. It's not easy for me to raise my hand and send a boy off to die without talking about it first.
Well, who says it's easy for me?
No one.
What, just because I voted fast? I think the guy's guilty. You couldn't change my mind if you talked for 100 years.
I'm not trying to change your mind. It's just we're talking about somebody's life here. I mean, we can't decide in 5 minutes. Suppose we're wrong.
There's a pause. Number 7 looks at 8.
Suppose we're wrong. Supposing this whole building fell on my head. You can suppose anything.
That's right.
What's the difference how long it takes? We honestly think he's guilty. So suppose we finish in 5 minutes. So what?
Let's take an hour. The ball game doesn't start till 8.
Number 7 looks angrily at him for a
Oh,
moment
come
and then
on.
suddenly breaks into a smile as if to say, what am I beating
We don't-
myself up over?
don't need
for?
these.
Number 7 makes
No, we
the
do.
curveball motion with his hand again.
Shoo.
He settles back in his chair, smiling. No one says a word for a moment.
Well, who's got something to say?
He looks at number 2. Number
No,
2
we don't need
shrugs.
to be reading all these. Come on.
We're
compose.
going to read. We're going to read the regular action descriptions. We won't read the ones that are too much of the directions, and it's hard to tell before reading some of them.
I think you're getting into character.
I'm totally into character. This will
I
take
can see
forever. Cut a lot of this.
Well, it's important to know what's going on. That's why we read the action description, because this is a script reading group for script writing.
Yeah,
And so the action is so important when you're reading for writing. It tells you what's happening. So
and to
Foreman
follow along
looks-
and see how he did it for this
Yeah.
one.
Foreman looks around the table. Some of them shrug, others merely sit. He looks at number 9.
I'm willing to sit for an hour.
Great. I heard a pretty good story last night.
That is not what we're sitting here for.
10 and 8 speak across 9, who turns from one to the other. Camera shoots over shoulders of 4 and 5.
All right, then you tell me. What are we sitting here for?
8 looks at him, trying to phrase the following. They wait.
Maybe for no reason. I don't know. Look, this boy's been kicked around all his life. You know, living in a slum, his mother dead since he was 9. He spent a year and a half in an orphanage while his father served a jail term for forgery. That's not a very good head start. He's a wild, angry kid, and that's all he's ever been. You know why he got that way? Because he was knocked on the head by somebody once a day, every day. He's had a pretty terrible 19 years. I think maybe we owe him a few words. That's all.
He looks around the table. 9 nods slowly.
I don't mind telling you this, mister. We don't owe him a thing. He got a fair trial, didn't he? What do you think that trial cost? He's lucky he got it. Know what I mean? Look, we're all grown-ups in here. We heard the facts, didn't we? Now, you're not going to tell us that we're supposed to believe that kid, knowing what he is? Listen, I've lived among them all my life. You can't believe a word they say. You know that. I mean, they're born liars.
There's a pause.
Only an ignorant man can believe that.
Now listen.
Do you think you were born with a monopoly on the truth? I think certain things should be pointed out to this man.
He is annoyed at this statement.
All right, it's not Sunday. We don't need a sermon in here.
What he says is very dangerous.
All right, that's enough.
He glares at 9. 9 half rises, but then feels 8's hand firmly on his arm, gently pulling him down. He sits down, turns away from 10, and looks briefly at 8. 8 looks calmly, firmly back, and in his look, there's an understanding and sympathy.
I don't see any need for arguing like this. I think we ought to be able to behave like gentlemen.
Right.
If we're going to discuss this case, let's discuss the facts.
I think that's a good point. We have a job to do. Let's do it.
Number 2 rises and walks around the table. Camera pans with him till it reaches number 11 and 12. Foreman is still on camera. Number 2 goes off to his jacket to get a package of cough drops and returns during the next lines. Number 12 doodles steadily on his pad. Number 11 watches him. He draws a cereal box.
Maybe if the gentleman who disagrees down there could tell us why, tell us what he thinks, we could show him where he's probably mixed up.
12 looks at 11 and sees him watching his doodling. He holds up his drawing for him to see.
Rice Pops. This is the one of the products I work on at the agency. The breakfast with the built-in bounce. I wrote that line.
11 smiles in spite of himself.
Very catchy.
If you don't mind. Oh, I'm sorry. I have this habit of doodling. It keeps me thinking clearly. We're trying to get someplace here. We can sit here forever. Well, look, this is an idea. I'm just thinking out loud, but it seems to me it's up to convince the gentleman that we're right and he's wrong. Maybe if we each took a minute or two, mind you, this is just a quick idea. No, I think that's a good one. Supposing we go around the table.
Anything. Let's just Start it off.
Okay, how about you go first?
Not me. I think we ought to go in order.
He takes his gum out of his mouth and looks for a place to throw it. Finally, he lets fly. We hear a thin clank. He seems satisfied.
That sounds all right. In order. A couple of minutes apiece. I guess you're first.
Oh, well, it's hard to put into words. I think he's guilty. I thought it was obvious from the word go. I mean, nobody proved otherwise.
Nobody has to prove otherwise. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. The defendant doesn't have to open his mouth. That's in the Constitution. I'm sure you've heard of it.
Well, sure, I've heard of it. I know what it is. What do I mean? Well, the man is guilty. I mean, somebody saw him do it. He looks around helplessly and then looks down. Camera pans over to 3, who has been watching 2, waiting his turn. 2 now in close-up turns to the others.
Okay. Now, here's what I think, and I have no personal feelings about this. I'm talking facts. Number 1, let's take the old man who lived on the 2nd floor, right underneath the room where the murder took place. At 10 minutes after 12 on the night of the killing, he heard loud noises in the apartment upstairs. He said it sounded like a fight. And then he heard the kid shout out, "I'm gonna kill you." A second later, he heard a body fall, and he ran to the door of his apartment, looked out, and saw the kid running down the stairs and out of the house. And then he called the police. They found the father with a knife in his chest.
And the coroner fixed the time of death at around midnight.
Right. I mean, there are facts for you. You can't refute facts. This boy is guilty. Look, I'm as sentimental as the next guy. I know the kid is only 19, but he's still got to pay for what he did.
I'm with you.
All right, next.
Number 3 and 5 listen closely to this quiet, imposing, meticulous man. He takes off his eyeglasses, waving them as he talks.
It was obvious to me, anyway, that the boy's entire story was flimsy. He claimed he was at the movies during the time of the killing, and yet 1 hour later, he couldn't remember what films he saw or who played in them.
That's right. Did you hear that? You're absolutely right.
No one saw him going in or out of the theater. Listen, what about that woman across the street? If her testimony don't prove it, nothing does.
That's right. She was the one who actually saw the killing.
Let's go in order here.
10 rises with a handkerchief.
Just a minute. Here's a woman.
He blows his nose.
Here's a woman who's lying in bed and can't sleep.
He begins to walk around the table, wiping his tender nose and talking. Camera follows him.
She's dying with the heat. Know what I mean? Anyway, she looks out the window, and right across the street, she sees the kid stick the knife into his father. The time is 12:10 on the nose. Everything fits. Look, she's known the kid all his life. His window was right opposite hers, across the L tracks, and she swore she saw him do it.
Number 10 is now standing behind 6 and looking across the table at 8. Camera shoots over at 8's shoulder. 10 wipes his nose.
Through the windows of a passing elevated train.
Right. This L train had no passengers on it. It was just being moved downtown. The lights were out, remember? And they proved in court that at night you can look through the windows of an L train when the lights are out and see what's happening on the other side. They proved it.
I'd like to ask you something. You don't believe the boy. How come you believe the woman? She's one of them too, isn't she?
He is suddenly angry.
You're a pretty smart gal, aren't you?
He takes a step towards 8, sitting calmly there. Number 10 strides towards 8. The foreman rises in his seat, and 3s and 5 jump up and move towards 10.
Hey, let's take it easy.
3 and 5 have reached 10, who looks angry at 8. 3 takes 10's arm.
What's she so wise about? I'm telling you.
Come on, sit down. What are you letting him get you all upset for?
Let's calm down now. I mean, We're not going to get anywhere fighting.
3 and 10 reach 10's seat. 10 sits down. 3 remains standing now until the next lines. He walks around the room, takes a drink at the fountain, etc. He's standing.
Okay, let's try to keep it peaceful in here.
Looks down at the table.
Whose turn is it? His. Okay, you've got 2 minutes.
He looks around nervously.
I'll pass it. That's your privilege. How about the next gentleman?
I don't know. I started to be convinced, very early in the case. Well, I was looking for the motive. That's very important. If there's no motive, where's the case? So anyway, that testimony from those people across the hall from the kids' apartment, that was very powerful. Didn't they say something about an argument between the father and the boy around 7 o'clock that night? I mean, I can be wrong.
It was 8 o'clock, not 7.
That's right, 8 o'clock. They heard an argument, but they couldn't hear what it was about. Then they heard the father hit the boy twice, and finally they saw the boy walk angrily out of the house. What does that prove?
Anytime he's working on his own ideas, he feels himself on unsteady ground and is ready to back down. He does so now.
Well, it doesn't exactly prove anything. It's just part of the picture. I didn't say it proved anything.
Said already, we can talk about it forever. It's the same thing. I mean, this kid is 5 look at his record. He was in children's court when he was 10 for throwing a rock at his teacher. At 15, he was in reform school. He stole a car. He's been arrested for mugging. He was picked up twice for knife fighting. He was real swift with a knife, they said. This is a very fine boy.
Ever since he was 5 years old, his father beat him up regularly. He used his fists.
So would I, kid like that.
And how? It's the kids, the way they are nowadays. Listen, when I was his age, I used to call my father sir. Well, that's right, sir. You ever hear a boy call his father that anymore?
Fathers don't seem to think it's important anymore.
No? Have you got any kids?
3.
Yeah? Well, I've got one, a boy, 21 years old. And I'll tell you about him. When he was 9, he ran away from a fight. I saw him. I was so ashamed I almost threw up. So I told him right out, I'm going to make a man out of you, or I'm going to bust you in half trying. Well, I made a man out of him, all right. When he was 16, we had a battle. He hit me in the face. He's big, you know. I haven't seen him in 2 years, rotten kid. You work your heart out.
He stops. He has said more than he intended and more passionately than he intended it. He's embarrassed. He looks at 8 and then at all of them.
Vicki.
All right, well, let's get on with it.
He turns and walks angrily around the table to his seat, camera panning with him. He sits down. Camera now covers these other people.
I think we're missing the point here. This boy, let's say he's a product of a filthy neighborhood and a broken home. We can't help that. We're here to decide whether he's guilty or innocent, not to go into the reasons why he grew up this way. He was born in a slum. Slums are breeding grounds for criminals. I know it. So do you. It's no secret. Children from slum backgrounds are potential menaces to society. Now, I think, brother, you could say that again. The kids who crawl out of these places are real trash. I don't want any part of them, I'm telling you.
His face is angry. He tries to control himself. His voice shakes. Number 5.
Kid, I've lived in a slum all my life.
He knows he has said the wrong thing.
Oh, now, wait a second.
I used to play in a backyard that was filled with garbage. Maybe it still smells on me.
Now listen, Sonny.
Foreman has risen.
Now let's be reasonable. There's nothing personal. There is something personal.
He looks around at the others, all looking at him. Then suddenly he has nothing to say. He sits down, fists clench. Number 3 gets up and walks to him, pats him on the back. Number 5 doesn't look up.
Come on now. He didn't mean you, feller. Let's not be so sensitive.
This sensitivity I can understand.
The foreman looks at number 11 and his face shows distaste for him in spite of himself. Number 12 gets up and walks to the window.
All right, let's stop all this arguing. We're wasting time here. It's your turn. Let's go.
Well, I didn't expect a turn. I thought you all were supposed to be convincing me. Wasn't that the idea?
Check. That was the idea. I forgot about that. He's right.
Well, what's the difference? He's the one who's keeping us in here. Let's hear what he's got to say.
Now, just a second. We decided to do it a certain way. Let's stick to what we said.
Stop being a kid, will you?
Kid, listen. What do you mean by that?
What do you think I mean? K-I-D, kid.
What? Just because I'm trying to keep this thing organized? Listen.
He gets up.
You want to do it here? You sit here. You take the responsibility. I'll just shut up. That's all.
Listen, what are you getting so hot about? Calm down, will you?
Don't tell me to calm down. Here's the chair. You keep going? Smooth and everything? What do you think? It's a snap? Come on, Mr. Foreman. Let's see how great you'd run the show.
Did you ever see such a thing?
You'd think it's funny or something.
12 walks over to him from the window.
Take it easy. The whole thing's unimportant.
He glares up at 12.
Unimportant? You want to try it? No, listen. You're doing a beautiful job. Nobody wants to change.
The foreman turns away from 12 and looks at the rest of the jury. He's embarrassed now. For a moment, he tries to think of something to say. Then abruptly, he sits down. Camera holds on him. He looks down at the table. They all look in the direction of the foreman. There's a pause. Then,
All right, let's hear from somebody.
there's another pause.
Well, it's all right with me if you want me to tell you how I feel about it right now.
He looks down at the table.
I don't care what you do.
8 waits for a moment and then begins. As he speaks, 12 walks into the shot, stands behind 9.
Look, there was one alleged eyewitness to the killing. Someone else claims to have heard the killing, and then he saw the boy running out afterward. There was a lot of circumstantial evidence, but actually those 2 witnesses were the entire case for the prosecution. We're dealing with a human life here, supposing they were wrong.
He stands behind 8 and looks down at him.
8.
12.
Oh, I'm sorry. What do you mean, supposing they were wrong? What's the point of having witnesses at all?
12 stands behind 8. 8 is turned to look up at him. 9 listens carefully.
Could they be wrong?
They sat there under oath? What are you trying to say?
They're only people. People make mistakes. Could they be wrong?
No, I don't think so.
Do you know so?
Well, now listen, nobody can know a thing like that. This isn't an exact science.
As he turns away from 12, satisfied.
That's right. It isn't.
There's a silence for a moment. Number 12 walks back to his seat. Number 3 gets up angrily and strides down to a position behind 5.
All right, let's try to get to the point here. What about the switch knife they found in the father's chest?
Well, wait a minute. I think we ought to. There are some people who haven't talked yet. Shouldn't we?
Look, they can talk whenever they like. Now, just be quiet a second, will you please?
Wounded at being slapped down by 12, he looks down at the table.
Okay. What about the knife? You know, the one that fine, upright boy admitted buying on the night of the murder? Let's talk about that.
8 appears just a bit pleased at this turn of conversation.
All right. Let's talk about it. Let's get it in here and look at it. I'd like to see it again. Mr. Foreman?
He looks at 8 for a moment, then he gets up and moves to the door, camera panning with him.
Well, we all know what it looks like. I don't see why we have to look at it again.
Foreman knocks on the door opens and the guard pokes his head in the room. 3, still standing behind 5, he looks at the door where Foreman stands whispering to the guard. Then 3 turns to table.
What are we going to get out of seeing the knife again?
You brought it up.
Ugh. What do you think?
The gentleman has a right to see exhibits and evidence. The knife and the way it was bought is pretty strong evidence. Don't you think so?
I do.
Good. Now, supposing we take these facts one at a time. 1, the boy admitted going out of his house at 8 o'clock on the night of the murder after being punched several times by his father.
He didn't say punched. He said hit. There is a difference between a slap and a punch.
After being hit several times by his father. 2, the boy went directly to a neighborhood junk shop where he bought a, what do you call these things?
Switch knife.
Switchblade knife. Thanks. 3, this wasn't what you'd call an ordinary knife. It had a very unusual carved handle. 4, the storekeeper who sold it to him identified it and said it was the only one of its kind he had ever had in stock. 5, at about 8:45, the boy ran into some friends of his in front of a tavern. Am I correct so far?
Yes, you are.
You bet he is. Now, listen to this man. He knows what he's talking about.
The boy talked with his friends for about an hour, leaving them at about 9:45. During this time, they saw the switch knife. 6, each of them identified the death weapon in court as that same knife. 7, the boy arrived home at about 10 o'clock. Now, this is where the stories offered by the boy and the state begin to diverge slightly. He claims that he stayed home until 11:30 and then went to one of those all-night movies. He returned home at about 3:15 in the morning to find his father dead and himself arrested. Now, what happened to the switch knife? This is the charming and imaginative little fable the boy invented. He claims that the knife fell through a hole in his pocket sometime between 11:30 and 3:15 while he was on his trip to the movies, and then he never saw it again. Now there is a tale, gentlemen. I think it's quite clear that the boy never went to the movies that night. No one in the house saw him go out at 11:30. No one at the theater identified him. He couldn't even remember the names of the pictures he saw. What actually happened is this. The boy stayed home, had another fight with his father, stabbed him to death with a knife at 10 minutes after 12, and fled from the house. He even remembered to wipe the knife clean of fingerprints.
It opens. The guard enters carrying a curiously designed knife with a tag hanging from it. Number 4 walks into the shot and takes the knife from the guard. He turns and moves back to his seat as the guard exits. He stands behind his seat holding the knife. Camera is now at the angle, which includes 4, 5, 9, 8, all of them.
Everyone connected with the case identified this knife. Now, are you trying to tell me that it really fell through a hole in the boy's pocket and that someone picked it up off the street, went to the boy's house and stabbed his father with it just to be amusing?
No, I'm saying that it's possible that the boy lost the knife and that someone else stabbed his father with a similar knife. It's possible.
He flicks open the blade of the knife and jams it into the table. Camera dollies back to show the knife on the table. Jurors 2, 5, 10, 11, and 12 get up and crowd around to get a better look at it.
Take a look at that knife. It's a very unusual knife. I've never seen one like it. Neither had the storekeeper who sold it to the boy. Aren't you trying to make us accept a pretty incredible coincidence?
I'm not trying to make anyone accept it. I'm just saying anything that it's possible. I'm just saying that it's possible.
Standing next to 4 is suddenly infuriated at 8's calmness. He leans forward.
And I'm saying it's not possible.
He stands for a moment in silence, then he reaches into his pocket and swiftly withdraws a knife. He holds it in front of his face and flicks open the blade. Then he leans forward and sticks the knife into the table next to the other. Stuck into the table side by side, each exactly alike, there is an immediate burst of sound in the room.
What is this?
What is it?
Oh,
How'd you like that? 8 is standing away from the table watching. 3 looks up at him.
What are you trying to do?
Yeah, what's going on here? Who do you think you are?
In the group of faces, he has taken the knife out of the table and is holding it.
Look at it. It's the same knife.
Watching them closely, a few steps back from the group, the ad-lib hubbub still goes on.
Quiet, quiet, let's be quiet.
Noise begins to subside. He takes the knife from 5's hand and speaks to 8, who stands at left of frame.
Where'd you get it?
I was waiting for a couple hours last night, just thinking. I walked through the boys' neighborhood. The knife comes from a little pawn shop 3 blocks from his house. It costs $2.
It's against the law to buy or sell switchblade knives.
That's right. I broke the law.
3 pushes in next to 4. He is much too angry for the situation. Others look at him peculiarly as he speaks.
Listen, you pulled a real bright trick here. Now, supposing you tell me what you proved. Maybe there are 10 knives like that. So what?
Maybe there are.
3 is silent for a minute. He knows that a tiny dent has been made in the case. He sputters.
So what does that mean? What do you think it is? It's the same kind of knife. So what's that? The discovery of the age or something?
This does not change the fact that it would still be an incredible coincidence for another person to have made the stabbing with the same kind of knife.
That's right. He's right.
The odds are 1,000,000 to 1.
It is possible.
He looks calmly at 8 and speaks quietly.
But not very probable.
Knife to begin with.
Well, he claims that
I know. He bought it as a present for a friend of his. He was going to give it to him the next day because he busted the other kid's knife, dropping it on the pavement.
that's what he said.
Baloney.
The friend testified that the boy did break his knife.
Yeah. And how long before the killing? 3 weeks, right? So how come our noble lad bought this knife 1 half hour after his father smacked him, and 3.5 hours before they found him shoved up here in the father's chest?
Well, he was going to give the knife to his friend. He just wanted to use it for a minute.
Scattered laughter.
Ha
Waits till the laughter dies down.
ha.
Do you?
You don't have to ask me that. You know my answer. He lied.
Do you think he lied?
Can't answer immediately. He looks around nervously.
Well, I don't know.
You wait a minute.
He starts to stride around the table past 4, 5, and 6.
What are you? The kid's lawyer or something? Who do you think you are to start cross-examining us? Listen, there are still 11 of us in here who think he's guilty.
3 is standing behind 7 now.
Right. What do you think we're going to accomplish? You're not going to change anybody's mind. So if you want to be stubborn and hang this jury, go ahead. Kid will be tried again and found guilty, sure as he's born.
Camera pans with him as he walks past his seat. He stands behind it. 3, 7, 9 are included in the shot. 3 standing behind 7's seat.
You're probably right.
So what are you going to do about it? We can't be here all night.
It's only one night. A boy may die.
7 glares at 9, but has no answer. 8 sits down.
Brother, anybody got a deck of cards?
There's a silence. 3 starts a walk over to the coat rack to get some cigarettes from his jacket. Camera holds center on 8. For a moment, the room is quiet. I don't think he ought to joke about it.
What do you want me to do?
2 would like to say something to 7, but darn. 10 slams his hand down on the table.
Listen, I don't see what all this stuff about the knife has to do with anything. Somebody saw the kid stab his father. What more do we need? You guys can talk the ears right off of my head. Know what I mean? I got 3 garages of mine going to pot while you're talking. Let's get done and get out of here.
Watching, waiting, writing. Now some of them begin to fold up their slips and pass them back to the foreman. As the passing back begins, camera begins to move down, centering on the entire jury. By the time all of the slips are back, the camera is shooting over the shoulder of Foreman. He stacks the slips on the table next to him. Then he looks over at 8. Looking back at Foreman waiting, he looks at 8, down to the table. He picks up the first slip, opens it, and reads.
That one must have been one of the skipped pages. Guilty.
The foreman opens another slip and reads it.
Guilty.
Now camera begins a long pan around the table, catching a close-up of each face. The foreman reads off the slips. No one moves. Each man waits tensely.
Guilty. 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 Guilty.
Camera is now on 10. He waits anxiously.
Not guilty.
10 shows instant anger. We hear a quick babble of shots. A hand slams down on the table. He seems to relax a bit. He starts back for his seat. The foreman reads off the last ballot.
Guilty.
Boy, how do you like that?
Another chap flicks his wig.
All right, who was it? Come on, I want to know.
Excuse me. This was a secret ballot. We agreed on this point, no? If gentleman wants to remain secret.
There are no secrets in a jury room. You know who it was.
He stands up and walks over to 5's seat, camera panning to him. 5 turns and looks at him. He stares down at 5.
Brother, you're really something. You come in here and you vote guilty like everybody else, and then this golden voiced preacher over here starts to tear your heart out with stories about a poor little kid who just couldn't help becoming a murderer. So you change your vote. If that isn't the most sickening, why don't you drop a quarter in his collection box?
5 listens to this, his face growing darker and angrier. Toward the conclusion of the speech, he begins to rise to his feet, facing 3.
Now wait a minute.
But 3 turns his back on him and starts to walk away. Camera holds on 5, then he starts out after 3.
Who do you think you are to talk like?
3 has his back to 5. 5 reaches out and takes his shoulder.
Who do you think you are?
3 takes him off angrily, shakes him off angrily, and turns to face him. 4 is on his feet swiftly now and slips in between them. He takes 5's arm.
All right, let's calm down.
Who do you think he is? Does he think he is?
4 leads 5 back to his seat, camera panning with him.
I mean, did you see him?
Just sit down. He's very excitable. Forget it. It doesn't matter.
Excitable? You mean I'm excitable? You're trying to put a guilty man into the chair where he belongs, and all of a sudden somebody's telling us fairy tales, and we're listening.
Number 2 leans back. Take it easy.
What do you mean, take it easy? Do you feel like seeing a proven murderer walking the street? Why don't we give him his knife back? Make it easier for him.
He indicates 5 with a wave of his hand.
Where does he have the right?
Okay, let's stop yelling.
Please, I would like to say something here. I've always thought that a man was entitled to have his unpopular opinion in this country. This is the reason I came here. In my own country, I'm ashamed to say.
What do we have to listen to now? The whole history of your country?
Levin subsides into silence, embarrassed. 10 glares at him.
Yeah, let's stick to the subject.
He turns to 5.
Now I'm talking facts. What made you change your vote?
Number 9 speaks softly. 8 watches him as if he had known all along.
There's nothing for him to tell you. He didn't change his vote. I did.
He reacts to this with obvious disgust.
Would you like me to tell you why?
No, I wouldn't like you to tell me why.
Well, I'd like to make it clear anyway, if you don't mind.
Do we have to listen to this?
The man wants to talk.
10 looks angrily at him and then turns away. The foreman looks proudly down at 9.
Thank you. This gentleman has been standing alone against us. He doesn't say the boy is not guilty. He just isn't sure. Well, it's not easy to stand alone against the ridicule of others, even when there's a worthy cause.
Seven raises his eyes to heaven, shakes his head in disgust, and gets up. He turns his back on Nine and heads for the men's room. Nine stands up and speaks spiritedly to his back.
So he gambled for support, and I gave it to him. I respect his motives. The boy on trial is probably guilty, but I want to hear more. Right now, the vote is 10-2.
The bathroom door slams shut. Nine takes one step toward it, furious at Seven's arrogance.
I'm talking here. You have no right to.
But he is stopped by Eight's hand on his shoulder. He turns to Eight.
Can't hear you. He never will. Let's sit down.
Nine nods and slowly takes a seat, spent with his effort. Eight remains standing, looking down at him.
Well, if the speech is over, maybe we can go on.
I thought we ought to take a break. One man's inside there. Let's wait for him.
Foreman stands up and camera pans with him as he walks around the table to where the two knives are stuck into the table. He plucks the tagged one out and closes it. Number 4 opens up his newspaper and begins to read it. 3 gets up and standing behind his chair stretches. We hear murmured ad-lib conversations and the sound of several other jurors getting up. The foreman goes to the door, camera holding on him. He knocks. The door opens and the guard pokes his head in. The foreman hands him the knife. The guard closes the door. Foreman walks back to his seat, camera dollying back to him. Number 2 sits at the table cleaning his glasses. Camera dollies back to numbers 11 and 12 still seated. Their heads are turned towards each other. Camera is still at their backs. In background, 3 stands near door thinking. He watches number 5, and while we hear following dialogue between 11 and 12, 3 watches as 5 gets up, crosses in front of him, and goes to the far end of the room. 3 obviously wants the right opportunity to talk with him alone.
Looks like we're really hung up here. I mean, that thing with the old man was pretty unexpected.
11 nods and shrugs.
I wish I knew how we could break this up. You know, in advertising, I told you I worked at an agency, didn't I? Well, there are some pretty strange people. Not strange, really. They just have peculiar ways of expressing themselves. You know what I mean? Well, it's probably the same in your business, right? What do?
I'm a watchmaker.
Really? The finest watchmakers come from Europe, I imagine. Anyway, I was telling you, in the agency, when they reach a point like this in a meeting, there's always some character ready with an idea, and it kills me. I mean, it's the weirdest thing in the whole world. Sometimes the way they precede the idea with some kind of phrase like, oh, some account executive will say, here's an idea. Let's run it up the flagpole and see if anyone salutes it. I mean, it's idiotic, but funny.
Camera dollies pass them on to 3 now, and he walks over to 5, who stands at the water fountain. 5 looks up at him over a cup of water.
Look, I was a little excited. Well, you know how it is. I didn't mean to get nasty or anything.
5 finishes the water and tosses the cup in the basket.
I'm glad you're not the kind who lets these emotional appeals influence him.
10 walks into shot, stands next to 5, sniffling. 8 bends to rinsing his face. 7 watches him for a moment.
What are you getting out of it? Kicks?
8 looks up at him.
The boy is guilty, pal. Like the nose on your face. So let's go home before we get sore throats.
8 turns off the water and turns to 7. 7 hands him paper towel and waits. 8 starts to dry his face, watching 7.
What's the difference whether you get it here or at the ball game?
7 looks at him narrowly and then smiles.
No difference, pal. No difference at all.
7 exits, letting the door slam. 8 slowly dries his face. A moment later, the door opens. We hear a loud laugh from outside. 6 enters the bathroom. The door closes. 6 walks over to the sink, turns on the water. During this next exchange, he lets it run over his wrists.
Nice bunch of guys.
I guess they're the same as any.
That loud, heavy-set guy, the one who was telling us about his kid, the way he was talking, boy, That was an embarrassing thing.
Yeah.
8 stands watching 6 cool his wrists.
What a murderous day.
He looks at 8 in the mirror.
You think we'll be much longer?
I don't know.
He's guilty for sure. There's not a doubt in the whole world. We should have been done already.
8 doesn't answer him.
Listen, I don't care, you know. It beats working.
He laughs and 8 smiles. Then 6 pointedly looks at 8. His smile vanishes.
You think he's not guilty?
I don't know. It's possible.
I don't know you, but I'm betting you've never been wronger in your life. You ought to wrap it up. You're wasting your time.
Supposing you were the one on trial.
6 looks at him seriously. There's a pause. He takes a towel and dries his hands.
I'm not used to supposing. I'm just a working man. My boss does the supposing, but I'll try one. Supposing you talk us all out of this and the kid really did knife his father.
6 looks at 8 and then exits. 8 stands there alone for a few moments, and we know that this is the problem which has been tormenting them. He doesn't know or never will. Finally, he exits.
I don't know if there are any more to make. I just have a feeling.
Nine.
9.
Oh. Well, I think the boy is probably guilty, but you go ahead and see what comes out. For the time being, it's a little less one-sided. That's all. My vote is only temporary. It's all the support I'm equipped to give.
8 smiles and nods understandingly.
Okay, let's take seats.
As they move for their seats, finally all are seated. Camera dollies in on 2, and he settles his glasses on his nose and turns the look up at the wall clock. He turns to the foreman. Looks like we'll be here for dinner. He scowls at 2, then turns and addresses the group.
Okay, let's get down to business. Who wants to start it off?
There's a pause.
Well, I'd like to make a point.
Maybe it would be profitable if we. I'm
Pardon
sorry.
me.
Go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead. It's all right.
Well, I was going to say, well, this is probably a small point, but anyway, the boy had a motive for the killing. You know, the beatings and all. So if he didn't do it, who did? Who else had the motive? That's my point. I mean, nobody goes out and kills someone without a motive, not unless he's just plain nuts, right?
He sits back rather proudly.
As far as I know, we're supposed to decide whether or not the boy on trial is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. We're not concerned with anyone else's motives here. That's a job for the police.
Very true. But we can't help letting the only motive we know of creep into our thoughts, can we? And we can't help asking ourselves who else might have had a motive. Logically, these things follow. This gentleman is asking a reasonable question. Somebody killed him. If it wasn't the boy, who was it?
Modulewski.
You're talking about the man I love, the world's fastest rookie.
He's got a rubber arm.
I don't see what's funny about this. If you haven't gotten anything to add besides jokes, I suggest you listen.
Okay. It's just letting off steam. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
3, as always, shows real respect for 4. The grin fades from his face.
Well, maybe you can answer me. Who else might have killed the father?
Well, I don't know. The father wasn't exactly a model citizen. The boy's lawyer brought this out pretty clearly, I thought. He was in prison once. He's known to be consistent horse better. He spent a lot of time in neighborhood bars, and he'd get into fistfights, sometimes after a couple of drinks. One of them was over a woman who no one could seem to remember. He was tough, cruel, primitive kind of man who never held a job for more than 6 months in his life. So there are a few possibilities. He could have been murdered by any one of many men he served time with in prison. By a bookmaker. By a man he'd beaten up. By a woman he'd picked up. By any one of the characters he was known to hang out with.
Oh boy, that's the biggest load of tripe I ever... Listen, we know the father was a bum, so what has that got to do with anything?
I didn't bring it up. I was asked who else might have killed him. I gave my answer.
That gentleman over there asked a different question.
Everyone's a lawyer.
Down to 9.
Listen, as long as you joined the discussion, supposing you answer this question. The old man,
There's no need to be sarcastic.
He looks unwaveringly at 3. 3's face hardens. He stares at 8.
would you please answer this question for me? Sir, the old man who lived downstairs heard the kid yell out, "I'm going to kill you." A split second later, he heard a body hit the floor. Then he saw the kid run out of the house. Now, what does all of that mean to you?
8 is still standing. He looks down at 9. 9 doesn't have an answer, obviously. He looks up at 8, then down the table. 8 looks across at 3.
I was wondering how clearly the old man could have heard the boy's voice through the ceiling.
I didn't hear it. He didn't hear it through the ceiling. His window was open, and so was the window upstairs. It was a hot night, remember?
The voice came from another apartment. It's not that easy to identify a voice, especially a shouting voice.
He identified himself in court. He picked the boy's voice out of 5 other voices, blindfolded.
That's not the same. He knows the boy's voice very well. They've lived in the same house for years. But to identify it positively from the apartment downstairs, isn't it possible that he was wrong? That maybe he thought the boy was upstairs and automatically decided that the voice he heard was the boy's voice?
I think that's a bit far-fetched. You said a mouthful.
Well, what have you got to say about it?
I don't know. It doesn't sound right to me.
Well, supposing you think about it.
He looks down at 12, who has drawn a crude picture of an elevated train. Camera dollies in on them.
Lend me your pencil.
12 gives it to him. 3 bends over 12 and starts to draw a tic-tac-toe pattern on the same sheet of paper upon which 12 has drawn the train.
You know, I don't think he would have shown the knife to his friends that time.
Listen, what difference does it make?
3 has finished the tic-tac-toe pattern. He fills in an X, hands the pencil to 12.
Your turn. We might as well pass the time.
He watches this tic-tac-toe business, suddenly angry for the first time.
Well, I don't know if it makes a difference or not. Listen to the boy.
And 8 is up on his feet, walking fast towards 12's seat, camera panning with him. 12 has just finished making an O and is handing pencil to 3. 8 reaches down and snatches the paper off the table. 3 whirls around.
Wait a minute.
This isn't a game.
Who do you think you are?
He lunges at 8, but is caught by numbers 11 and 12. The foreman hops into it, taking him by the arm. 8 stands calmly near him, watching. Camera dollies back as the 3 jurors move 3 around the table toward his seat. Other jurors are on their feet, suddenly watching, some crowding around. 3 is furious.
All right, take it easy. Come on, sit down.
3 is urged around the table. He shakes off 11 and 12.
I've got a good mind to walk around the table and belt him one.
Now, please, I don't want any fights in here.
He reaches for 3's arm. 3 shakes him off.
Did you see him? The nerve! The absolute nerve.
All right, forget it. It's not important. Know what I mean?
This isn't a game. Who does he think he is?
Standing calmly alone, holding the paper he has snatched from 12, looking steadily at 3, glaring angrily at 8, then finally he sits down in his seat.
Come on now, it's all over. Let's take our seats.
Slowly moving to their seats, 8 looks at the paper in his hand, and suddenly something seems to click for him. He begins to walk around the table towards 3's seat. Camera dollies down in on him. When he reaches 3's seat, 3 is busy fixing his tie. 8 stands behind him, looking at the paper. Then suddenly he leans over 3 and throws the paper in front of him onto the table. 3 half rises, angry again. 4 puts A hand on his arm, he sits down. Camera's close on him and 8.
Take a look at that sketch. I wonder if anybody has an idea how long it takes an elevated train going at medium speed to pass a given point.
What has that got to do with anything?
How long? Take a guess.
I wouldn't have the slightest idea.
What do you think?
I don't know, about 10 or 12 seconds maybe.
What's all this for?
I'd say that was a fair guess. Anyone else?
That sounds about right to me.
Come on, what's this guessing game for?
What would you say? Number 2.
Two. Done.
10 seconds is about right.
All right, say 10 seconds. What are you getting at?
This. A 6-car L train passes a given point in 10 seconds. Now say that given point is the open window of the room in which the killing took place. You can almost reach out of the window of that room and touch the L tracks, right? Now, all right. Now let me ask you this. Has anyone here ever lived right next to the L tracks?
Well, I just finished painting an apartment that overlooked an L line. I'm a house painter, you know. I was there for 3 days.
What was it like?
What do you mean?
Noisy?
Brother. Well, it didn't matter. We're all punchy in our business anyway.
Wow.
I lived in a second-floor apartment next to an L line once. When the windows open and the train goes by, the noise is almost unbearable. You can't hear yourself think.
Okay, you can't hear yourself think. Will you get to the point?
I will. Let's take 2 pieces of testimony and try to put them together. First, the old man is in the apartment downstairs. He says he heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you," and a split second later, he heard the body hit the floor. 1 second later, right?
That's right.
Second, the woman across the street claimed positively that she looked out of her window and saw the killing through the last 2 cars of a passing elevated train, right? The last 2 cars.
All right, what are you giving us here?
Now, we agreed that an L takes about 10 seconds to pass a given point. Since the woman saw the stabbing through the last 2 cars, we can assume that the body fell onto the floor just as the train passed by. Therefore, the L had been roaring by the old man's window for a full 10 seconds before the body hit the floor.
About? I mean, we're all going crazy in here or something, and this kid is guilty. Why don't you pay attention to the facts? Listen, tell him, will you? This is getting to be a joke.
He gets up and starts a walk down to 7. Camera pans with him.
The vote is 8-4, favor of guilty.
I mean, everybody's heart is starting to bleed for this punk little kid, like the president just declared it Love Your Underprivileged Brother Week or something. Listen, I'd like you to stand up and tell me why you changed your vote. Come on, give me reasons.
He looks straight at 3 and speaks strongly.
I don't have to defend my decision to you. I have reasonable doubt in my mind.
3 stands behind 5, who's turned looking at him. 3 looks off at 11 angrily.
What reasonable doubt? I mean, that's nothing but words.
He leans over the table, pulls the switch knife out of the table, and holds it up.
Here, look at this. The kid you just decided isn't guilty was seen running this thing into his father. Well, look at it, Mr. Reasonable Doubt.
Number 3 flicks it angrily onto the table. It quivers in the wood.
That's not the knife. Don't you remember?
3 whirls and stares at him. 9 regards him steadily. 8 smiles openly, burning but controlled.
Brilliant.
3 stares at 9 for another moment and then walks around past 7 and off camera. His next lines will be taken at the window. There's a pause. 7 looks around.
Telling you, this is the craziest. I mean, you're sitting here pulling stories out of thin air. What are we supposed to believe? I'm telling you, if this guy sat ringside at the Dempsey Furpo fight, well, you'd be trying to tell us Furpo won. And look, what about the old man? Are we supposed to believe that he didn't get up and run to his door and see the kid tearing down the stairs 15 seconds after killing? He's only saying he did it to be important, right? I mean, what's the whole point of it?
Hold on a second.
And this Baltimore rooter is heard from and pops up and pop-ups are falling for base hits, wherever you look. I'm telling you.
Did the old man say he ran to the door?
Ran, walked, what's the difference? He got there.
He said he ran to the door. At least I think he did.
I don't remember what he said, but I don't see how he could run.
He said he went from his bedroom to the front door. That's enough, isn't it?
Where was his bedroom again?
Down the hall somewhere. I thought you remembered everything. Don't you remember that?
No. Mr. Foreman, I'd like to take a look at the diagram of the apartment.
Oh, why don't we have him run the trial over just so you can get everything straight?
Mr. Foreman.
All right, and now we are going to take a temporary break. So anybody watching, anybody here reading, can go to the restroom, get a drink of water, anything like that, and we'll be back shortly. Who's there? Yeah. Not only a skilled actor, skilled DJ. Jerome, thank you for the break time music. Appreciate that. And seems like everyone's back and everyone's ready. So let's pick up after Mr. Foreman ignored him. He ignored the other person and said, Mr. Foreman. So it's my turn. And I heard you.
He rises and walks out of the shot towards the door. 3 standing at windows, glares at 8. Camera dollies in on 3. We hear business of door opening and closing during the next lines.
All right, what's this for? How come you're the only one in the room who wants to see exhibits all the time?
I want to see this one too.
3 starts to walk from the window, which will lead him to a positive direction behind 8. Camera pans with him.
And I want to stop wasting time.
Going to start wading through all that nonsense about where the body was found.
3 is standing behind 8 now. Camera's in the medium close-up on them both. 8 leans across the table towards 4's position.
We're not. Not unless someone else wants to. I'd like to see if a very old man who drags one leg when he walks because he had a stroke last year can get from his bed to his front door in 15 seconds.
He said 20 seconds.
He said 15.
Now I'm telling you, he said 20. What are you trying to distort?
He said 15.
How does he know how long 15 seconds is? You can't judge that kind of thing.
He looks up at 3.
He said 15 seconds. He was very positive about it.
He's an old man. You saw him. Half the time he was confused. He could be, how could he be so positive about anything?
Camera moves in for a big close-up of 3. He looks around angrily, unable to cover up his blunder. Then he walks out of the close-up and stalks around the table. Camera pans with him. The others watch. As he gets to his seat, the door behind him opens. The guard enters carrying a large pen and ink diagram of an apartment. Foreman crosses to guard.
This what you wanted?
That's right. Thanks.
The guard nods and exits. Foreman holds up the diagram and looking at it, crosses back towards his seat, camera panning with him. 8 rises from his seat and walks towards Foreman's seat. During these crosses, we hear the following.
I don't see what we're going to prove here. The man said he saw the boy running out.
Well, let's see if the details bear him out. As soon as the body fell to the floor, he said, he heard footsteps upstairs running toward the front door. He heard the upstairs door open and the footsteps start down the stairs. He got to his front door as soon as he could. He swore that it couldn't have been more than 15 seconds. Now, if the killer had been running immediately...
Camera's now standing in front of the foreman at the head of the table. 12.
Well, maybe he didn't.
The old man said he did.
Brother, I crown you the king of hair splitters.
Listen, why don't you stop making smart remarks all the time?
My friend, for your $3 a day, you got to listen to everything?
There's a silence for a moment. 6 has no answer, but he hasn't liked what he's heard.
Well, now that you've got that thing in here, what about it?
May I?
He takes the chart and holds it up on a corner of the table so that everyone can see it. Also included in shot are 12 and 11 and Foreman. During 8's lines, 2, 5, and 6 also crowd around the diagram. The diagram itself is a layout of a railroad flat. A bedroom faces the L track. Behind it is a series of rooms off a long hall. In the front room is an X marking the spot where the body was found. At the back of the apartment, we see the entrance into the apartment hall from the building hall. We see a flight of stairs in the building hall. Each room is labeled and the dimensions of each room are shown.
This is the apartment in which the killing took place. The old man's apartment is directly beneath it and exactly the same. Here are the L tracks: the bedroom, another bedroom, living room, bathroom, kitchen, and this is the hall. And here's the front door to the apartment, and here are the stairs. Now, the old man was in bed in this room. He says he got up, went out into the hall, down the hall to the front door, opened it, and looked out just in time to see the boy racing down the stairs. Am I right so far?
He stands at his chair watching.
That's the story for the 19th time.
15 seconds after he heard the body fall,
Correct.
his bed was at the window. It's 12 feet from his bed to the bedroom door. The length of the hall is 43 feet 6 inches. Now he had to get up out of bed, walk 12 feet, open the bedroom door, walk 43 feet, and open the front door, all in 15 seconds. Do you think he could have done that?
Sure, he could have done it.
He can only walk very, very slowly. They had to help him into the witness chair.
You make it sound like a long walk. It's not.
He looks in 3's direction and then, laying down the diagram, begins a walk around to the other side of the table, camera panning with him. As he walks, 9, who had been standing near 8, answers 3.
For an old man who had a stroke, it's a long walk.
8 is walked directly to the empty chairs of 2 and 3. He takes one of each hand now and swings them out into the middle of the floor, placing them side by side. 3 strides into the shot.
What are you doing?
I want to try this thing. Let's see how long it took him.
What do you mean you want to try it? Why didn't the kid's lawyer bring it up if it's so important?
The other jurors have begun to crowd into the shot.
Oh,
Well, maybe he didn't think of it.
What do you mean didn't think of it? You think the man's an idiot or something? It's an obvious thing.
Did you think of it?
10 moves a step or two towards 5.
Listen, smart guy, it don't matter whether I thought of it.
Okay, now.
He didn't bring it up because he knew the answer had hurt his case. Now, what do you think of that?
Okay.
It's possible that he didn't bring it up because it would have meant badgering and bullying a helpless old man, something I don't think sits very well with a jury. Most lawyers avoid that kind of thing if they can.
So what kind of bum is he then?
That's what I've been asking.
7 shuts up, sorry that he's spoken.
All right, let's say these chairs are the old man's bed. I'm going to pace off 12 feet, the length of the bedroom.
He begins to do this, camera staying with him.
You're crazy. You can't recreate a thing like that.
I'd like to see it.
It's a ridiculous waste of time.
Let him do it.
8 now paced off his 12 feet. He stands on the spot.
Someone hand me a chair.
6 picks up a chair and brings it to him. 8 puts it down where he is standing. Camera moves in for a medium shot.
All right, this is the bedroom door.
He looks around.
The hall is a little over 43 feet long. I'll pace over to that wall and back again.
He starts to do it, counting his steps silently as he paces. He paces 10 after a dozen steps.
Look, this is absolutely insane. What's the idea of wasting everybody's time here?
16.
He stops pacing, turns to 10.
According to you, it'll only take 15 seconds. We can spare that.
He resumes his pacing, counting to himself. He reaches the wall. Everyone watches silently. He turns and paces back, counting off the rest of the 43 steps.
39, 40, 41, 42, 43. Okay, pass me another chair, please.
2 hands him a chair. He places it down.
This is the door to the outside hall and stairwell. It was chain locked, according to the testimony.
Right.
Right?
Now walks over to the 2 chairs he's placed side by side, camera dolling close to him. He sits down.
Who's got a watch with a second hand?
I have.
When you want me to start, stamp your foot. That'll be the body falling. Time me from there.
He lies down on the 2 chairs.
Anyone for charades?
I've never seen anything like this in my whole life.
Okay, I'm ready.
He lies down in the chairs. They all watch carefully. Number 2 stares at his watch, waiting. There's a tense silence. I want to wait till the second hand reaches 60. They wait, silent, tense. Suddenly, 2 stamps his foot. 8 rises to a sitting position, swings his legs to the floor. He stands up. 2 keeps his eyes on the watch. 8 begins to hobble, dragging one leg toward the chair, which serves as the bedroom door. He reaches it, pretends to open it. He turns now and begins to hobble along the simulated 43-foot hallway.
Come on, speed it up. He walked twice as fast as that.
8 continues to walk.
This is, I think, even more quickly than the old man walked into the courtroom.
If you think I should go faster, I will.
He speeds up his pace slightly, reaches the wall and turns. He heads for the second chair, the chair simulating the door to the outer hallway.
Come on, will ya? Let's get this kid stuff over with.
They watch as 8 reaches the last chair. Camera's now medium close on him. He pretends to open an imaginary chain lock and then opens the imaginary door.
Stop.
Right.
What's the time?
Camera is on 8 in the foreground and 2 in the background, surrounded by 4 or 5 of the jurors. 15, 20, 30, 33 seconds exactly.
33 seconds?
The other jurors around 2 ad-lib their surprise.
Oh, jeez.
I think this is what happened. The old man had heard the fight between the boy and his father a few hours earlier. Then, while lying in bed, he heard a body hit the floor in the boy's apartment, and he heard the woman scream from across the street. He got up, tried to get to the door, heard someone racing down the stairs, and assumed it was the boy.
I think that's possible.
Standing, furious.
Assumed? Now, listen to me, you people. I've seen all kinds of dishonesty in my day, but this little display takes the cake.
3 strides swiftly towards 8. He reaches him, waves his hand in 8's face.
You come in here with your heart bleeding all over the floor about slum kids and injustice, and you make up some wild stories, and all of a sudden, you start getting through to some of these old ladies in here. Well, you're not getting through to me. I've had enough. Well, what's the matter with you people? Every one of you knows this kid is guilty. Oh, he's got to burn. Oh, we're letting him slip through our fingers here.
Slip through our fingers? Are you the executioner?
I'm one of them.
Maybe you'd like to pull the switch.
Or this kid? You bet I'd like to pull the switch.
I am sorry for you.
No, don't start with me now.
What it must feel like to want to pull that switch.
Listen, you shut up!
Ever since we walked into this room, you've been behaving like a self-appointed public avenger.
I'm telling you now, shut!
You want to see this boy die because you personally want it, not because of the facts.
Shut up!
You're a sadist.
Shut up!
As he and he lunges wildly at 8. 8 holds his ground, and 3 is caught by many hands and held back. He strains against the hands, his face dark with rage.
Let me go. I'll kill him. I'll kill him.
You don't really mean you'll kill me, do you?
3 stops struggling with the jurors who are restraining him. Still held, he stares bitterly at 8. Then finally, he shrugs off the many hands on him, adjusts his jacket, and walks around to the group of silent, watching men to the window, camera moving up high and holding on him in the entire jury. He stands at the window, and there's not a sound for a moment. Then we hear the sound of the door being opened. Some of the jurors turn their heads in that direction.
Is there anything wrong, gentlemen? I heard some noise.
No, there is nothing wrong.
He walks toward the door, picking up the diagram of the apartment on the way. He reaches the door. Camera holds on the shot of the foreman and the guard. I wonder if they let us go home in case we can't finish tonight. I've got a boy with mumps. He's out to here. The wife says he looks like Mussolini. Camera holds on him as he subsides into embarrassed silence. No one laughs. Sitting silently, each trying to think of some way to break out of his own personal embarrassment. The room begins to darken perceptibly now. No one notices it. And now Levin clears his throat slightly and leans forward. Camera closes in on him as he talks.
Pardon, this fighting. This is not why we are here to fight. We have a responsibility. This, I have always thought, is a remarkable thing about democracy that we are, what is the word? Notified. That we are notified by mail to come down to this place and decide on our guilt or innocence of a man we have never heard of before. And we have nothing to gain or lose by our verdict. This is one of the reasons we are strong. We should not make it a personal thing.
Now, fearing perhaps that he has forced his views on others a bit too passionately, Levin sits back, somewhat embarrassed.
Thank you.
Again, there's silence. Cameras on 11, 12, and Foreman. 12 leans forward into silence.
If no one else has an idea, I may have a cutie here. I mean, haven't put much thought in it. Anyway, let me know if it's on the stoop and we see if the cat licks it up. See if the cat licks it up. Yeah, now, if the boy arrived home...
The foreman laughs, and then 12 realizes that he has fallen into the trap he set for himself earlier. He stops in mid-sentence. 11 joins in the laughter. The edge is off the tension now, but 12 shuts up tight and begins to doodle furiously.
Look at how dark it's getting. We're going to have a storm.
There's a pause.
Boy, it's hot.
He yanks open his tie and fans himself with some papers. Then, idly, he turns to 4. 4 still sits there in tie and jacket, seemingly not bothered by the heat at all. 5 looks at him.
Don't you sweat?
No, I don't.
5, surprised at 4's coldness, turns away. There's a pause. 6 looks around a bit nervously.
The old man, according to his own testimony, I'm going to kill you. Body falling a split second later, would have had to hear the boy make his statement while the L was roaring past his nose. It's not possible that he could have heard it.
There's a silence as they digest this. Then 3 angrily turns around in his chair.
That's idiotic. Sure, he could have heard it.
Do you think so?
He said the boy yelled it out. That's enough for me.
If he heard anything at all, he still couldn't have identified the voice with the L roaring by.
3 shoots to his feet, camera moving with him. He glares at 8.
You're talking about a matter of seconds here. Nobody can be that accurate.
3 stands next to 8 now.
Well, I kind of think that testimony, which could put a human being into the electric chair, should be reasonably accurate.
3 moves away from 8 down towards 5. Camera holds on him in the background. 8 in the foreground. 5 turns around in his seat.
I don't think he could have heard it.
Maybe he didn't hear it. I mean, with the L noise.
What are you people talking about?
Well, it stands to reason.
You're crazy. Why would he lie? What's he got to gain?
Attention, maybe.
You keep coming up with these bright sayings. Why don't you send one in to a newspaper? They pay $3.
He seems to shrink in his seat. He looks down at the table. 3 stares at the old man. 5 looks at 3. 6 rises and faces 3. He stares at him with frank disgust. He looks ready for almost any trouble 3 can name. He speaks quietly, but with great strength, heightened by his slow-witted sincerity. This is a man who is rarely aroused, but when he is afraid of nothing.
What are you talking to him like that for?
3 looks at him and then turns disgustingly away. 6 reaches out and turns 3 firmly around by the arm, looks into his face.
A guy who talks like that to an old man ought to really get stepped on, you know?
Get your hands off me.
5 rises and makes a move towards 6. 6 looks at him briefly. He stops. 6 looks back at 3.
Hey, let's not get into any fist fights in here.
You ought to have some respect, mister.
I said, let go of me.
6 pulls 3 firmly, strongly towards him. 3 helplessly stands there.
If you say stuff like that to him again, I'm gonna lay you out.
6 releases 3 and steps away from him. 3 continues to stare harshly at him. 6 quietly turns in the direction of 9.
Go ahead. You can say anything you want. Why do you think the old man might lie?
Number 9 looks up and seems to take strength. 10 shows disgust.
It's just that I looked at him for a very long time. The seam of his jacket was split under the arm. Did you notice it? I mean, to come into court like that.
9 pauses and 10 deliberately yawns.
He was a very old man with a torn jacket, and he walked very slowly to the stand. He was dragging his left leg and trying to hide it because he was ashamed. I think I know him better than anyone here. This is a quiet, frightened, insignificant old man who has been nothing all of his life, who has never had recognition. His name in the newspapers. Nobody knows him. Nobody quotes him. Nobody seeks his advice after 75 years. That's a very sad thing to be nothing. A man like this needs to be recognized, to be listened to be quoted just once. This is very important.
All listening to 9. Only 8 shows pity. 6 half understands. 3 is furious. 7 incredulous.
It would be so hard for him to recede into the background when there's a chance to be...
Now, wait a minute. Are you trying to tell us that he'd lied just so he could be an important once?
No, he wouldn't really lie. But perhaps he'd make himself believe that he'd heard those words and recognized the boy's face.
Well, that's the most fantastic story I've ever heard. How can you make up a thing like that? What do you know about it?
I speak from experience.
He lowers his head, embarrassed. His jaw hangs open. He stares at 9. There is absolute silence, punctuated only by the honking of a horn in the street. Then abruptly, 3 whirls about, and as camera pans with him, he stalks back to his seat. Frozen for a moment now as 3 sits down, 2 clears his throat and begins to unwrap a cough drop. 12 lights a cigarette. 6 begins to tap the dottle out of his pipe, but no one speaks. 9 sits with head bowed. 10 looks at him as if he were a bug on a pin.
Ah, boy, oh boy. That's what I call a hot one.
He lets out a short, mocking laugh, looking at 10, wishing he could crack him across the mouth.
Okay, is there anything else?
5, spell of contained anger is broken. He looks in the direction of the foreman as camera dollies back to include 4 in the shot.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I was figuring I'd like to...
And I think it's about time we stop behaving like kids in here. We can't continue to allow these emotional outbursts to influence us. Gentlemen, this case is based on a reasonable and logical progression of facts. Let's keep it there.
Facts are sometimes colored by the personalities of the people who present them.
4 gives 11 a somewhat sour look. There's a silence for a moment.
What in the hell are you talking about?
standing near the window.
But supposing he really did hear it. This phrase, how many times has each of us used it? Probably hundreds. I could kill you for that, darling. If you do that once more, Junior, I'm gonna kill you. Come on, Rocky, kill him. We say it every day. It doesn't mean we're gonna kill someone.
Wait a minute. What are you trying to give us here? The phrase was, I'm going to kill you. And the kid screamed it out at the top of his lungs. Oh, don't tell me he didn't mean it. Anybody says a thing like that the way he said it, they mean it.
Well, gee, I don't know. I remember I was arguing with a guy I worked next to at the bank a couple of weeks ago. So he called me an idiot. So I yelled at him.
Now listen, this guy is making you believe things that aren't so. The kid said he was going to kill him, and he did kill him.
5 sits swiftly, waiting to be bombarded.
Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. I feel like the thing got switched to the page we read earlier in that page about the killing the other guy angry. But the vote is 9-3 in favor of the guilty.
Number 3 stalks off past 5 on his way around to the windows. Camera pans with him. As he passes 7, 7 speaks 2 beats after Foreman finishes his line.
Well, if that isn't the living end.
Camera continues to pan with 3 as 7 speaks. He reaches the window and finds himself next to 8. 8 is calm. 3 furious but controlled. They exchange one look, and as if at the moment this entire room has become a battleground for these 2 men who have never known each other before. This is the battle of good against evil, of compassion against brutality. 3 turns away from 8 and looks out the window during all of this. 7 speaks.
What are you basing it on? Stories this guy made up? You gotta write for Amazing Detective Monthly. Make a fortune. Listen, there are facts staring you right in your face. Every one of them saying this kid killed his old man. For crying out loud, his own lawyer knew he didn't stand a chance right from the beginning. His own lawyer, you could see it.
It's happened before that a lot of facts somehow fall into place, and all of a sudden it looks like a murderer has been caught. But every once in a while, you read about a convict who's freed 10 years after the crime because of someone else has confessed.
7 and 9 in their seats. 3 is at the window. 8 standing behind 9.
I'm talking to him, not you. Boy, this guy's really something. Listen, this kid had a lawyer, didn't he? The lawyer presented his case, not you. How come you got so much to say?
Lawyers aren't infallible.
7 swings around to 5, gives him a look.
He was court appointed.
7 swings back to 8.
So what does that mean?
Well, it could mean a lot of things. It could mean he didn't want the case. It could mean he resented being appointed. It's the kind of case that brings him nothing. No money, no glory, not even much chance of winning. It's not a very promising situation for a young lawyer. He'd really have to believe in his client to make a good fight. As you pointed out a minute ago, he obviously didn't.
Well, sure he didn't. Who in the heck could? Except God come to earth or somebody.
He looks calmly at 7. He evades 8's eyes. He looks down at his watch and then up at the clock.
Come on already. Look at the time.
He shows disgust with 7's concern for the time. Then he looks down at the table at some notes he has made on a scrap of paper. Camera dollies back to show the paper, and shot now includes 10, who is back in his seat.
Pardon me, but I have made some notes here. I'd like to please say something.
He picks up the scrap of paper and, finding himself hampered by a lighted cigarette in his hand, looks for an ashtray in which to put it. The ashtray is in front of 10. He looks at 10 and then reaches over for the ashtray. 10 looks at him with obvious distaste.
Wait a minute. Here.
10 slides the ashtray over to him.
Thank you.
He puts out the cigarette and looks at his notes.
I have been listening very closely, and it seems to me that this man has some very good points to make. From what was presented in the trial, the boy looks guilty on the surface, but maybe if we go deeper.
Come on, will you?
There is a question I would like to ask. We assume that the boy committed murder. He stabbed his father in the chest, ran away. This was at 10 minutes after 12. How was he caught by the police? How come he came home at 3 o'clock or so and was captured by 2 detectives in the hallway of his house? My question is, if he really had killed his father, why would he come back home 3 hours later? Wouldn't he be afraid of being caught?
He stands at the window listening.
Look, he came home to get his knife. It's not nice to leave knives around sticking in people's chests.
Yeah, especially relatives.
3 looks off in his direction and grins appreciatively.
I don't see anything funny about it. The boy knew that there were people who could identify the knife as the one he had just bought. He had to get it before the police did.
But if he knew the knife could be identified, why didn't he leave it there in the first place?
Well, I think we can assume he ran out in a state of panic after he killed his father, and then when he finally calmed down, he realized that he had left his knife there.
But this depends on your definition of panic. He would have had to be calm enough to see it there and that there were no fingerprints on the knife. Now, where did his panic start and where did it end?
3 walks up behind 11, annoyed.
Look, you can forget all that other stuff. He still came home to dig out his knife and get rid of it.
3 hours later?
Sure, 3 hours later.
If I was the boy, I had killed my father. I would not come home 3 hours later. I'd be afraid the police would be there. I would stay away, knife or no knife.
Listen, you voted guilty, didn't you? What side are you on?
I don't believe I must be loyal to one side or the other. I am simply asking questions.
He looks at his notes. 12 clears his throat.
Well, this is just off the top of my head, but if I were the boy and I'd, done the stabbing and everything, I'd take a chance and go back for the knife. I bet he figured no one had seen him and the body probably wasn't even discovered yet. After all, it was the middle of the night and he probably thought no one would find the body till the next day.
Pardon. Here's my whole point. The woman across the street testified that the moment after she saw him killing, that is the moment after the L train went by. She screamed and then went to the telephone to telephone the police. Now, the boy must certainly have heard that scream and known that somebody saw something. I don't think he would have gone back if he had been the murderer.
2 things. 1, in his state of panic, he may not have heard the scream. Perhaps it wasn't very loud. 2, if he did hear it, he may not have connected it with his own act. Remember, he lived in a neighborhood where screams were fairly commonplace.
Number 10, 11, 12, seated, 3 behind 11, 8 near a seat, but begins a walk towards 11.
Right, there's your answer.
Maybe he did stab his father, didn't hear the woman scream, ran out in a panic, did calm down 3 hours later, and came back to try to get the knife, risking being caught by the police. Maybe all of those things are so, but maybe they're not. I think there's enough doubt to make us wonder whether he was there at all during the time the murder took place.
10 stands up furiously, turns to 8.
What do you mean, doubt? What are you talking about? Didn't the old man see him running out of the house?
He turns to all the others.
He's twisting the facts, I'm telling you.
He turns to 11, who's still seated.
Did or didn't the old man see the kid running out of the house at 12:10?
11 turns away from him. 10 moves around to the other side of him.
Well, did or didn't he?
He says he did.
Says he did. Boy, oh boy. How do you like that? Well, did or didn't the woman across the street see the kid kill his father?
He stands up and answers for 11, mocking him.
She says she did. You're making out like it don't matter what people say.
11 gets up and begins a walk to the water cooler. 10 looks angrily after him and then starts to pursue him, still talking. Camera pans with them, shooting to their backs.
What you want to believe, you believe, and what you don't want to believe, so you don't. What kind of way is that?
11 is at the cooler now. 10 is stopped halfway. Shooting from the water cooler, 11 takes a cup and begins to pour some water.
What do you think these people get up on the witness stand for? Their health?
10 turns to the table.
I'm telling you, men, the facts are being changed around here. Witnesses are being doubted, and there's no reason for it.
Witnesses can make mistakes.
Sure, when you want them to, they do. Know what I mean?
Okay, let's hold the yelling down.
He slowly sips and listens to 10, goes to Foreman.
You keep saying that. Maybe what we need is a little yelling in here. These guys are going off every which way. Did hear the scream, didn't hear the scream. What's the difference?
8 stands quietly by the foreground, watching 11 at the water cooler in the background as 10, halfway between them, talks on.
You people are only talking about the little details. You're forgetting the important stuff. I mean, all of a sudden here, everybody,
I'd like to call for another vote.
listen, I'm talking here.
8 turns his back on 10 and walks out of the shot towards the seat. 10 is visibly annoyed at this. He takes one step after 8, then stops.
There's another call for a vote.
10 burns.
How about taking seats?
10 starts for his seat. Foreman stands at his seat. The others who are standing head for seats.
What are we gonna gain by voting again?
I don't know. The gentleman asked.
11 sits in his seat.
I never saw so much time spent on nothing.
It only takes a second. 3 gives him a look, then turns away.
Okay, I guess the fastest way is to find out who's voting guilty, and those in favor of not guilty raise their hands.
There's a great deal of looking around the table as 5, 8, and 9 raise their hands.
Still the same. 1, 2, 3, not guilty. 9's guilties.
He is in the process of making a very difficult decision.
So now where are we? I'm telling you, we can yakety yak till Thursday here. What's it getting us?
There's a pause.
Pardon?
He slowly raises his hand.
I vote not guilty. Oh, brother.
Oh, now listen, what are you talking?
Listen, I was wondering if maybe we shouldn't take another vote.
Great idea. Maybe we can follow this one up with a dancing and refreshments.
6 and 7. 6 gives 7 a look and then turns to the foreman.
Mr. Foreman,
It's all right with me. Anyone doesn't want to vote?
He looks around the table. There's no answer. 12 doodles away, still annoyed with himself.
I think we ought to have an open ballot. Call out our votes, you know? Let's see who stands where.
That sounds fair. Anyone object?
There's no answer.
All right. I'll call off your jury numbers.
He takes a pencil and paper and draws a line down the middle of the paper.
I vote guilty.
He makes a check on one side of the line.
Number 2,
He has a hard decision to make. He thinks for a long time. Not guilty.
number 3,
Camera pans down to 3. He's staring at 2.
Guilty.
Camera pans
number
to
4,
Guilty.
number 5, not guilty. Number 6,
Camera pans to 6. He stares down at the table, picking at the piece of cuticle on his thumb. His decision is difficult too.
not guilty.
As soon as he speaks, he puts his sore thumb in his mouth, sucks on the cuticle. Camera pans to 7. He's looking disgusted at 6.
number 7,
Guilty.
number 8,
Not guilty.
Camera pans to 9. He is in the process of taking a pill out of a bottle.
number 9,
Not guilty.
Camera pans to 10. He is touching his tender nose appraisingly.
number 10,
Guilty.
Camera pans to 11. He watches 10 with some distaste.
number 11,
Not guilty.
Camera pans to 12. He doodles concentric circles on a pad.
number 12,
12's pencil stops. He stares down at the table, thinking. There's a pause.
number 12, guilty.
Camera pans to Foreman. He tallies his marks quickly.
6 to 6.
He repeats his Clem McCarthy takeoff.
And we go into the extra inning here.
And he gets up and heads for the water fountain. Camera panning with him. As he passes 10, 10 starts to rise. Annoyed, camera holds on 10.
6 to 6. I'm telling you, some of you people in here are out of your minds. A kid like that.
I don't think the kind of boy he is has anything to do with it. The facts are supposed to determine the case.
Oh, don't give me any of that. I'm sick and tired of facts. You can twist them any way you like. Know what I mean?
He walks away. Camera holds on 9. He half rises angrily and calls after 10.
That's exactly the point this gentleman has been making. I mean, you keep shouting at the top of your lungs.
8 puts his hand on 9's shoulder. 9 looks at him. 8 expression says he isn't worth overexciting yourself. 9 sits down, quite agitated. He takes out a handkerchief and mops his brow with it. We hear ad-lib conversation at the water cooler.
I'd like to be a little younger, that man.
He stops, unable to go on, then trying to calm himself.
It's very hot in here.
8 nods sympathetically.
You want some water?
No thanks.
9 continues to mop his brow. 8 rises and camera holds on medium close-up of his as he walks to the window. He stands there looking cut out. It has grown considerably darker now, oppressively still. The room is silent, save for the murmur of the voices at the fountain. 8 runs his hand over his face wearily. Then he opens his tie. 3 is drinking. 7 holds up a cup under the faucet. 10 waits his turn. 7 turns to the window. His cup overflows. He turns to it, steps away from the fountain, and begins to drink, staring at the window. 2 walks into shot to wait his turn at the fountain. It's going to rain.
No.
2 meekly turns away and gets a paper cup. 7 turns to him.
How come you switched?
Well, it just seemed to me,
I mean, you haven't got a leg to stand on. You know that, don't you?
well, I don't feel that way. There are a lot of details that never came out.
Details. You're just letting yourself get bulldozed by a bunch of, what do you call them, intellectuals.
Now, that's not so.
Ah, come on. You're like everybody else. You think too much. You get mixed up. Know what I mean?
Now, listen, I don't think you have any right to, but 10 has crumpled his cup, flipped it on the floor, and walked away, leaving 2 in the middle of a sentence. Loud mouth. 2 turns to 7, opens his mouth as if to speak, then decides not to. He walks over to the other window, camera dolling with him. He puts his head against the glass and stares out. It is darker now than before. Still at the window staring out, we see a portion of the skyline behind him, outside window. There is absolute silence in the room. There's no movement in the room. Everyone waits for the storm now, and suddenly it comes. We hear only the sound of the rain pouring down into the silence. No lightning, no thunder. Heads turned towards the window. There is no talk. The rain pours down as if there were a tropical storm. He steps back from the window as the rain splashes in. Then he reaches forward and closes the window. We hear the sound of the other window being closed by number 2. 8 stares out the window. From Foreman's end of table, they all stare at the window silently. The room is quiet, dark now, quite dark now. The rain pours in. Their faces in shadows for the first time, staring at the depressing spectacle of the rain, seated at table. Finally, he gets up and camera follows him as he walks over to the door. Next to it is a light switch. He flips it on. There is flickering of light, and then the overhead fluorescent lamps come on full, throwing harsh white light onto the jurors. At the same moment, we hear the first crack of thunder. Through cut the remainder of the play, the rain continues, and now and then there are flashes of lightning, a rumble of thunder. The foreman walks over to the window now and looks out. Camera moves in on him. He stands next to 8.
Wow.
He speaks almost to himself.
Look at that, will ya?
8 nods and continues to look out.
Think it's going to cool things off?
Yeah, I guess so.
Boy, look at it go. Reminds me of the storm we had last November or something. What a storm. Right in the middle of the game. We were behind 7-6, but we're just starting to move on the ball. Off tackle, you know. Boom, boom, boom. Boy, I'll never forget that. We had this kid, Slattery, a real ox. Wish I had another one like him.
He looks up to find 8 looking at him.
Oh, I probably forgot to tell you, I'm assistant head coach at Andrew J. McCorkle High School. That's in Queens.
8 nods, smiles briefly, and looks out the window.
So anyway, we're moving real nice. The line is coming apart. I'm telling you, this Slattery boy. And all of a sudden, it starts to come down cats and dogs. It was murder. I swear, I almost bawled. We couldn't go nowhere.
Hey, let's get this fan going in here. What do you say?
The foreman turns to the sound of the voice. He looks at 8 for a moment. Then he walks across the room, camera moving with him. 7 stands under the wall fan looking up at it. Foreman walks over next to him and looks up. Then he gets a chair, pulls it over to the fan, and stands up on the chair. He reaches up and turns on the fan. It starts to turn slowly. He watches it for a moment. Then he climbs down and turns around as if waiting for applause. No one speaks. His smile fades and camera follows him as he slowly walks to his seat and sits down. He is back in his seat now. He looks up at the fan. Then he takes a page from his scrap pad, crumples it up, and flips it up at the fan. It tears off another page and repeats this business in another. A wad of paper hits it and is flung off by the blades. Standing near the water fountain, the wad of paper strikes number 3 in the shoulder. He turns around angrily.
Sorry.
3 turns back to 4.
What a stupid thing to do.
4 bends to get a drink of water. 3 waits till he straightens up.
Some rain, huh?
4 drinking nods.
Well, what do you think of this thing? It's even Steven.
4 nods as he drinks.
Kind of surprising, isn't it?
Yes.
Listen, that business before, where, what's his name, that tall guy over there was baiting me. I mean, that doesn't prove anything. Listen, I'm a very excitable person, So where does he get off to call me a public avenger and a sadist and everything? I mean, anybody in his right mind would blow his stack, and wouldn't he? I mean, he was just trying to bait me.
He did an excellent job.
We hear jumble ad-lib conversations in the background.
Now, I'm being sincere about this. I'm no small potatoes like some of these people. I run a messenger service that employs over 65 workers. Well, maybe that doesn't mean anything to you, but I consider myself a respectable citizen, and I'm trying to do my duty in here very sincerely. He has no call to act like that. I mean, I could really have belted him one.
Listen, I'll tell you what I think.
3 and 4 turn in the direction of his voice.
We're going nowhere here. I'm ready to walk into court right now and declare a hung jury. There's no point in this thing going on anymore.
Most of them are seated now. 3 and 4 walk back to their seats.
I'd go for that too. Let's take it into the judge and see. Let this kid take his chances with 12 other guys.
I don't think the court will accept a hung jury. We haven't been in here very long.
Let's find out. I am not in favor of this. Listen, this kid wouldn't stand a chance with another jury, and you know it. Come on, we're hung. Nobody's going to change his opinion. Let's take it inside.
You still don't think there's any room for reasonable doubt?
No, I don't. Pardon, but maybe you don't fully understand the term reasonable doubt.
7 reacts strongly to this. He walks around the table until he is standing behind 4, speaking angrily to 11 as he goes.
What do you mean? I don't understand it. Who do you think you are to talk to me like that? How do you like this guy? I'm telling you, they're all alike. He comes over to this country, running his life, and before he can even take a big breath, he's telling us how to run the show. The arrogance of the guy.
Wait a second. Nobody around here is asking where you come from.
I was born right here.
Or where your fathers came from.
7 doesn't answer, but stares at 5, amazed at this unexpected outburst.
Where does it hurt us to take a few tips from people who come running here for their lives? Maybe they learned something we don't know. We're not perfect.
Please, it doesn't matter. Okay, homely philosopher, but let me tell you something. Nobody around here is going to tell me what words I understand and what words I don't hear, especially him.
7 stalks back to his seat, camera panning with him. He sits down. During the foreman's next line, 7 indignantly looks around, feeling that he has won his skirmish, until finally his eyes meet 8. 8 looks at him long and hard, and finally 7 breaks and turns away.
All right, let's stop the arguing for 2 minutes in here. Who's got something constructive to say?
Camera holds on 7 and 8. There's silence. Then 8 turns towards the others.
I'd like to go over something, if you gentlemen don't mind.
In the word gentleman, he looks pointedly at 7.
An important point for the prosecution was the fact that the boy, after he claimed he was at the movies during the hours the killing took place, couldn't name the pictures he saw or the stars who appeared in them. This gentleman has repeated that point in here several times.
That's correct. It was the only alibi the boy offered, and he himself couldn't back it up with any details at all.
Putting yourself in the boy's place, if you can, do you think you'd be able to remember details after an upsetting experience, such as being struck in the face by your father?
I think so, if there were any special details to remember. He couldn't remember the movies at the theater he named because he wasn't there that night.
According to the police testimony in court, he was questioned by the police in the kitchen of his apartment while the body of his father was lying on the floor in the bedroom. Do you think you could remember details under those circumstances?
I do.
Under great emotional stress.
Under great emotional stress.
He remembered the movies in court. He named them correctly, and he named the actors who played in them. And the night before that?
That was Tuesday. The night before that, I was, oh yes, that was the night of the bridge tournament. I played bridge.
And Monday night.
When do you get him down to New Year's Eve? 1952, let me know.
10 lets out a loud laugh, which just generates into a Flemish laugh.
Monday.
There's a pause.
Monday night, my wife and I went to the movies.
What did you see?
The Scarlet Circle. It's a very clever whodunit.
What was the second feature?
I'll tell you in a minute. The remarkable Mrs. Bainbridge. The remarkable Mrs. Bainbridge.
There's a pause. I saw that. It's called The Amazing Mrs. Bainbridge.
The amazing Mrs. Bainbridge. Yes, I think that's right.
Who was in The Amazing Mrs. Bainbridge?
There's a long pause as 4 strains for the names.
Barbara Long, I think. She's a dark, very pretty girl. Barbara Lane, something like that.
Who else?
A single drop of sweat glistens there and then rolls down into his collar. He moves uncomfortably.
Well, I'd never heard of them before. It was a very inexpensive second feature with unknown.
And you weren't under an emotional strain, were you?
No, I wasn't.
I think the point is made.
10 blows.
Big point.
I think it is a big point.
What? Just because he can't remember the name of some 2-bit movie star? I suppose that proves the kid was at the movies.
No, but it indicates that no one can prove he wasn't. He might have been at the movies and forgotten what he saw. It's possible. If it's perfectly normal for this gentleman to forget a few details, then it's also perfectly normal for the boy. Being accused of murder isn't necessarily supposed to give him an infallible memory.
You can talk till your tongue is dragging on the floor. The boy is guilty, period. Know what I mean, my friend?
They look at each other for a moment and then 9 turns away.
Who's got those cough drops?
They're all gone, my friend. He flips the empty box across the table. The foreman watches it slide and then looks up.
You know, there's something we're forgetting here that I was just thinking about. Well, that's the whole business that dragged out forever, with the psychiatrist, where he got all involved.
Now, don't start with all that phony psycho, whatever you call it stuff. What a racket that is, filling people's heads with all that junk. Listen, I got 3 psychiatrists keeping their cars in one of my garages. The whole 3 of them are crazy.
Listen, there's a point I'm trying to make here. Do you mind?
I wouldn't give you a nickel for a psychiatrist's testimony.
Why don't you let the man talk? You can take 5 minutes on the uselessness of psychiatry when he's finished.
He glares angrily at 8 for a moment, then turns away and blows his nose.
Thanks. What I was going to say is the psychiatrist definitely stated that the boy had strong homicidal tendencies. I mean, that he felt like killing somebody half the time. Well, not felt like, that he was, capable. He described all those tests, ink blots, and all that stuff. And he said the kid is definitely a killer type. Am I right? Check. I think he said something about paranoid tendencies, if I'm not mistaken. Right. Whatever that is, he said it. Let's not forget, we're talking about a boy who's always had murder on his mind. His unconscious mind. Nobody else's.
I beg pardon. In discussing,
I beg pardon. What are you so polite about?
for the same reason you are not. It's the way I was brought up.
They stare at each other for a moment, then Levin turns to the others.
In discussing such a thing as the murder potential, we should remember that many of us are capable of committing murder, but few of us do. We impose controls upon ourselves to prevent it. The most these psychiatrists tests can accomplish along these lines is this: they can tell us that someday a particular person may commit a murder. That's all. They prove nothing.
Then how come they're admitted in evidence?
They have many uses, of course. In this case, they added to the general impression of the persecution was trying to create. Perhaps we could find that if we 12 men took the same test, 1 or 2 of us might be discovered to have unconscious desires to kill and the potentiality of carrying them out. Yet none of us has. To say that a man is capable of murder does not mean that he has committed murder.
But it can mean it. Listen, if they said the kid is capable of killing, he could have killed, couldn't he?
7 is looking at his watch and up at the wall clock disgustingly. 8 leans down to 10.
You're the one who said, and I quote, "I wouldn't give you a nickel for a psychiatrist's testimony."
He knows he's been trapped and he's angry about it. He speaks through gritted teeth.
Boy, I'm telling you, I'd like to...
He stops and slams his fist on the table. Then he gets up and walks around the table trying to control himself. Camera pans with him. When he reaches 8, he stands over him for a minute. 8 doesn't look up at him. He stands there staring at 8 blackly.
Listen, let's take it easy here.
10 finally walks away from 8. Camera holds on 8 for a moment. Across the table, we can see 5, 6, 7. 8 still looks calmly straight ahead. Then he reaches out to the middle of the table and pulls the switch knife out of the table. He closes it. Then he flicks it open. Then he closes it. While this is happening, we hear the following.
What time is it?
There's a clock on the wall right behind you.
At conclusion of these lines, cameras on medium shot of 2s shooting over Foreman's shoulder.
Don't tell me we're going to start with that. They went over it and over it.
I know they did, but I don't go along with it. The boy is 5 feet 7 inches tall. His father was 6'2". That's a difference of 7 inches. It's a very awkward thing to stab down into the chest of someone who's more than a foot taller than you are. 3 stands up. He points to the knife.
Give me that.
2 does.
Look, you're not going to be satisfied till you see it again. I'm going to give you a demonstration.
3 walks to the position behind and to the left of the foreman, camera dolling back with him. He looks at the table. Camera covers right side of the table.
Somebody get up.
There's a pause. No one moves for a moment. Then 8 stands up. He walks along the table toward 3. Finally, he reaches him. They stand looking at each other for a moment. There's an absolute silence in the room.
Okay. Now watch this. Now, I don't want to have to do it again.
He turns back to 8 and looks squarely at him, measuring him, waiting.
I'm 6 or 7 inches shorter than you, right?
That's about right. Maybe a little more.
Okay. Let it be more.
3 flicks open the knife, changes its position in his hand, and holds it aloft, ready to stab downward. He looks steadily at 8 and 8 at him. Then suddenly he stabs downward hard. Look out! The blade stops about an inch from 8's chest. 8 doesn't move. 3 smiles. He closes his eyes for a second and opens them as we hear following 2 lines over several ad-lib remonstrations. Several of the jurors run over to 3 and 8.
That's not funny.
What's the matter with you?
Oh, just calm down. Nobody's hurt, right?
No, nobody's hurt.
He looks at the rest of the jury challengingly. No one says anything. Then, still holding the knife at 8's chest, pointing down and in, he speaks over his shoulder to 2.
All right. There's your angle. Take a look at it. Down and in. That's how I'd stab a taller man in the chest, and that's how it was done. Now go ahead and tell me I'm wrong.
He looks at it for a moment, and then, after looking up at 3 as though to say something, turns away and walks to his seat. He stands there as 3 turns, flips the knife into the table, and walks away. Several other jurors stand around him, including the foreman and 12. 12 walks over to him and, using his closed hands, simulated stabbing 8 in the chest.
Down and in. I guess there's no argument.
He moves to his seat, as do some of the other jurors. Several jurors walk to the water cooler, and 7 goes to his jacket on the coat rack for more cigarettes. 8 turns and walks to the table. He takes the knife out of the table and closes it. Camera moves in on him, and he flicks the knife open, takes it by the blade with his left hand, changes its position in his right hand, and makes a downward stab with it. Then quickly he closes it and turns to the table. He stands between the foreman's seat and number 2's seat.
Has anyone in here ever stabbed a man?
He's greeted with a few laughs. He looks at 3 as the jurors at the water cooler move to their seats.
Have you?
All right. Let's not be silly.
Have you or haven't you?
I haven't.
Well, where do you get all your information about how it's done? Have you ever seen a knifing?
No.
Don't you think seeing a man knifed would make a pretty vivid impression on you?
3 doesn't answer.
Well, have you ever seen a knifing?
No.
All right. I want to ask you something now. The boy was pretty experienced with one of these things. He was even sent to reform school for knifing someone. Isn't that so?
That's right.
All right. Take a look at this.
He takes the knife, holds it in front of him, and releases the blade. It springs out. Then he takes the blade with his left hand while he changes the position of the knife in his right hand, preparatory to stabbing in an overhead motion. Then he stabs.
Doesn't that seem like an awkward way to handle a knife?
It's the way I'd use a knife if I felt like using a knife.
He closes the knife, holds it underhanded in front of his belly, and releases the blade. He stands up swiftly.
Wait a minute.
He then looks around the table as though remembering something he had never wanted to think of again. He turns toward 8.
Give me that.
He reaches out for it. 8 walks into the shot, gives him the knife. He takes it, closes it, holds it in his hand gingerly. He looks down at it.
I hate these things.
Have you ever seen a knife fight?
Yes.
Where?
On my stoop, in my backyard. In the lot across the street, switch knives came with every neighborhood where I lived. Funny. I wasn't thinking of it. I guess you try and forget those things.
How do you use a switch knife?
Underbanded.
He flicks it open and, holding it underhanded, slashes swiftly forward and upward.
Like that. Anyone who's ever used a switch knife never handled it any other way.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
He closes the blade and flips it open again.
That's why they're made like this.
The boy is pretty handy with a knife, isn't he?
7 looks back at 8 sourly.
Do you think he could have made the kind of wound that killed his father?
Not with the experience he had all his life with these things. No, I don't think he could. He'd go for an underhanded.
How do you know? I mean, what, were you standing right in the room when the father was killed?
No, and neither was anyone else.
You're giving us a lot of mumbo jumbo here. I don't believe it.
I don't think you can determine what type of wound this boy might or might not have made simply because he knows how to handle a knife.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
8 walks around the table to the foreman's end of the table, camera panning with him. He reaches Foreman's chair. Shot now includes 2, 8, Foreman, and 12. 8 looks at 12.
What do you think?
He's confused, trying to be honest. He hesitates for a moment.
Well, I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
12 looks at him silently. 8 begins to walk down towards 7. Camera moves in as he does. 7 is looking up at the wall clock and comparing it with his watch. 8 looks at him.
What about you?
7 looks from the clock to 8. Camera's in close on him now. Then he looks around the table.
Just a minute. According to the woman across the street,
Listen, I'll tell you something. I'm a little sick of this whole thing already. All this yakking getting us nowhere. So let's break it up right here. I'm changing my vote to not guilty.
You're what?
Gets up nervously and starts to walk down past 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
You heard me. I've had enough.
7 is walking toward 11. 3 stands up furiously and leans across the table towards 7.
What do you mean you've had enough? That's no answer.
7 stops walking. He's behind 10's empty seat. He looks across at 3.
Hey, listen, you. Just worry about yourself, will ya?
11 turns and looks at 7.
He's right. That's not an answer.
11 stands up and faces 7, full in camera.
What kind of a man are you? You have sat here and voted guilty with everybody else because there are some baseball tickets burning a hole in your pocket. And now you've changed your vote because you say you're sick of all the talking here. Listen, buddy. Who tells you have the right to play like this with a man's life? This is an ugly and terrible thing to do. Don't you care? Now, wait a minute. You can't talk like that to me. I can talk like that to you. If you want to vote not guilty, then you do it because you're convinced a man is not guilty, not because you've had enough. And if you think he's guilty, then you vote that way.
11 reaches the peak of his rage now. 7 blinks at the power.
Or don't you have the guts to do what you think is right? Now listen, guilty or not guilty. I told you not guilty. Why? I don't have to. You do have to. Say it. Why?
They stare at each other in the eyes for a long moment. Then 7 looks down.
I don't think he's guilty.
11 looks at him disgustingly, then sits down. 7 stands there defeated.
I want another vote.
There's silence in the room.
Okay, there's another vote called for. I guess the quickest way is a show of hands. Anybody object?
He looks around the table questioningly. There's no answer.
All those voting not guilty, raise your hands.
7 is still standing. 10 still sits in the chair at the side of the room. 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11 put their hands immediately. The foreman starts to count the upraised hands. Camera moves in slowly as he counts on number 11, 12, and Foreman himself.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
The 7th number is number 11. 12's hand is down, but his face is a mask of indecision. As the foreman's counting finger moves past him, he suddenly raises his hand.
8.
The foreman stops counting and looks around the table. Slowly now, almost embarrassedly, he raises his own hand.
9.
He lowers his hand.
All those voting guilty,
10 jumps to his feet, angrily raising his hand. 3 and 4 raise their hands.
3.
They lower their hands.
The vote is 9-3 in favor of acquittal.
10 is standing angrily now behind 4.
I don't understand you people. I mean, all these picky little points you keep bringing up, they don't mean nothing.
He starts a walk around the table. Camera pans with him until he reaches his seat. He stands behind it. He continues to talk during the walk. Everyone is seated at the table now, but 10.
You saw this kid just like I did. You're not going to tell me you believe that phony story about losing the knife and that business about being at the movies. Look, you know how these people lie? It's born in them.
He whips out a handkerchief and blows his nose.
I mean, what the heck? I don't have to tell you. They don't know what the truth is. And let me tell you, they don't need any real big reason to kill someone either. No, sir.
As 10 talks, 5 gets up from his seat and walks over to the coat rack. He stands with his back to 10.
You know, they get drunk. Oh, they're very big drinkers, all of them. And bang, someone's lying in the gutter. Oh, nobody's blaming them for it. That's how they are, by nature. You know what I mean? Violent!
9 gets up from the table and walks to the window, stands with his back to 10 as 10 talks.
Human life don't mean as much to them as it does to us.
11 gets up and walks to the other window as he goes. 10 whirls to
Hey, where are you going?
11 pays no attention, stands with his back to the window. 10 turns back to the table. He begins to sound slightly desperate.
Look, these people lushing it up and fighting all the time. And if somebody gets killed, so somebody gets killed. They don't care. Oh, sure, there's some good things about them too. Look, I'm the first one to say that.
8 gets up and walks to the nearest wall and stands with his face to it.
I've known a couple people who were okay, but that's the exception. You know what I mean?
2 gets up, and a moment later, so does 6. They each walk to positions along the wall and stand with their backs to 10.
Most of them, it's like they have no feelings. They can do anything. What's going on here? I'm trying to tell you, you're making a big mistake, you people. This kid is a liar. I know it. I know all about them. I mean, what's happening in here? I'm speaking my piece and you...
The foreman gets up and walks to the water cooler. 12 follows him. They stand with their backs toward 10.
Listen to me. They're no good. There's not a one of them who's any good.
7 gets up and walks to the window, stands with his back to 10.
Boy, are you smart. Well, I'm telling you, we better watch out. This kid on trial here, his type... Well, don't you know about him?
He gets up and standing at his desk, turns his back on 10. 4 gets up and starts the long walk around the table towards 10.
What are you doing? Listen to me. I'm trying to tell you something.
He gesticulates wildly.
There's danger here. These people are wild. Don't you know about it? Listen to me.
He turns furiously and finds himself face to face with 4.
Listen to me.
He stares at him and trails off into silence. There's a long pause.
If you open your mouth again, I'm going to split your skull.
4 stares contemptuously at 10. There's no sound, no move. Then 10 looks down at the table.
I'm only trying to tell you.
There's a long pause. Then 4 turns and walks away from him. The only movement and sound in the room are 4's footsteps. He walks slowly back to his seat. We see the entire room. The other 10 jurors stand in various attitudes and postures around the walls of the room, their backs to 10. 4 reaches his chair. He pulls it out and sits down. Then slowly, the jurors begin to return to their seats. 10 stands head down without moving until the last of the jurors have silently taken their seats. Then he begins a walk which takes him to a chair at the far end of the room against a wall. He sags into it, beaten. He lowers his head into his hands and sits there. As is everyone else, number 8 is embarrassed. He looks around the table, then he clears his throat.
It's very hard to keep personal prejudice out of a thing like this. And no matter where you run into it, prejudice obscures the truth.
He pauses. There's a silence. 4 looks at 8 steadily.
Well, I don't think any real damage has been done here, because I don't really know what the truth is. No one ever will, I suppose. 9 of us now seem to feel that the defendant is innocent, but we're just gambling on probabilities. We may be wrong. We may be trying to return a guilty man to the community. No one can really know, but we have a reasonable doubt, and this is a safeguard which has enormous value to our system. No jury can declare a man guilty unless it's sure.
Listening.
We 9 can't understand how you 3 are still so sure.
He pauses for a moment.
Maybe you can tell us.
He looks strongly at 8.
I'll try.
He looks at 3 and then back at 8.
You've made some excellent points. The last one, in which you proved that the boy couldn't have made the kind of overhand stab wound that killed his father, was very convincing.
He stands up and stretches and then continues to stand.
But I still believe the boy is guilty of murder. I have 2 reasons. One, the evidence given by the woman across the street who actually saw the murder committed.
And how, brother? As far as I'm concerned, that's the most important testimony.
4 looks down at 3 with the same coldness.
And 2, the fact that this woman described the stabbing by saying she saw the boy raise his arm over his head and plunge the knife down into the father's chest. She saw him do it the wrong way.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
He listens carefully as 4 goes on, and we can see that he has no real answer to this.
Now let's talk about this woman for a minute. She said that she went to bed at about 11 o'clock that night. Her bed was next to the window, and she could look out while lying down and see directly into the boy's window across the street. She tossed and turned for over an hour, unable to fall asleep. Finally, she turned toward the window at about 10 minutes after 12, and as she looked out, she saw the killing through the windows of the passing L train. She says that the lights went out immediately after the killing, but that she got a good look at the boy in the act of stabbing his father. As far as I can see, this is unshakable testimony.
That's what I mean. That's the whole case.
What do you think?
8 hesitates for a moment, then doesn't answer. He looks in the direction of 12.
How about you?
He has never been sold on voting not guilty and is now swayed in the opposite direction. Yet he is apprehensive about how he will look in the eyes of the other jurors if he shifts his vote again.
Well, I don't know. There's so much evidence to sift.
He pauses and chews at his fingernail.
This is a pretty complicated business.
He looks around indecisively.
Frankly, I don't see how you can vote for acquittal.
Well, it's not so easy to arrange the evidence in order.
You can throw out all the other evidence. The woman saw him do it. What else do you want?
Well, maybe.
Let's vote on it.
Okay, there's another vote called for. Anybody object? I'm changing my vote. I think he's guilty.
He looks down at the table, ashamed, turning his head towards 12, angry, upset, but helpless, smiling slightly.
Vicki.
Anybody else?
He looks around the table challengingly.
The vote is 8-4.
There's a pause. 12, tormented, gets up and walks to the window.
Why is this such a personal triumph for you, this one vote?
I'm the competitive type. Yeah. Okay, now here's what I think. I think we're a hung jury. Let's take it inside to the judge.
There's no answer to this.
Well, I want to hear an argument. I say we're hung.
He turns around toward 8.
Come on. You're the leader of the cause. What about it?
Let's go over it again.
We went over it again. Baton, Barton, Durston, Osborne, up there is bouncing backwards and forwards like a tennis ball.
Standing at the window, he turns around.
Say, listen, what do you think you're saying here? You have no right to.
4 has his eyeglasses off and is polishing them.
I apologize on my knees. Come on, let's get out from under this thing. I'm sick of arguing with you already.
There's no point in getting nasty about it. You keep trying to make this into a contest.
Okay.
Maybe we could talk about setting some kind of a time limit.
Once around to the dealer.
4 looks witheringly in his direction, still polishing his glasses. He turns around to the wall clock and peers up at it.
It's
He squints and then puts on his glasses.
6:15.
He turns back to the table, takes off his glasses, and lays them down on the table. He looks tired now. He closes his eyes and clasps his finger over the marks left by his eyeglasses at the side of his nose. He rubs these areas as he speaks.
Someone before mentioned 7 o'clock. I think that's a point at which we might begin to discuss the question of whether we're a hung jury or not.
He's looking closely at 4 and obviously has thought of something tremendously exciting.
Don't you feel well?
He looks up at 9, annoyed.
I feel perfectly well. Thank you. I was saying that 7 o'clock would be a reasonable time to.
The reason I asked about that was because you were rubbing your nose like. I'm sorry for interrupting, but you made a gesture that reminded me.
I'm trying to settle something here. Do you mind?
I think this is important.
4 looks at him for a moment, then shrugs and leans back, relinquishing the floor.
Thank you.
He looks around the table for a moment, then back at 4.
I'm sure you'll pardon me for this, but I was wondering why you were rubbing your nose like that.
Oh, come on now, will you please?
At this point, I happen to be talking to the gentleman sitting next to you.
3 looks annoyed. During these next lines, he sighs deeply, gets up from the table, and strolls to the water cooler.
Now, why were you rubbing your nose?
Well, if it's any of your business, I was rubbing it because it bothers me a little.
I'm sorry. Is it because of your eyeglasses?
It is. Now, could we get on to something else?
Your eyeglasses make those deep impressions on the side of your nose. I hadn't noticed that before. They must be annoying.
They are annoying.
I wouldn't know about that. I've never worn eyeglasses.
He points to his eyes and smiles slightly.
2020.
Listen, will you come on already with the optometrist bit?
You have excellent recuperative powers.
7 looks disgustingly at him. Now 9 turns to 4. Camera moves in on 9's face close up.
The woman who testified that she saw the killing had on those same marks on the sides of her nose.
Digesting this. There is a silence in the room for a moment. Then we hear a slow babble of ad-lib conversation. 9 stands up, very excited.
Please,
Conversation continues.
please.
It quiets down.
Just a minute, and then I'll be finished. I don't know if anyone noticed that about her. I didn't think about it then, but I've been going over her face in my mind. She had those marks. She kept rubbing them in court.
He's right. She did do that a lot.
So what if she did?
This woman was about 45 years old. She was making a tremendous effort to look 35 for her first public appearance. Heavy makeup, dyed hair, brand new clothes that should have been worn by a younger woman. No eyeglasses. Women do that. See if you can get a mental picture of her.
At the wall cooler, glaring at 9, he begins to stride toward the table, camera dolling with him. He ends up standing behind 5, shouting across 9.
What do you mean, no glasses? You?
No, they couldn't.
Listen, what are you saying here? I didn't see any marks.
I did. Strange, but I didn't think about it before.
Now that we're talking about it, I saw them. I mean, it never occurred to me.
3 steps back thinking. 9 leans back and opens his bottle of pills. He flips one tiny pill under his tongue. He suddenly looks very old and very tired. 8 looks warmly at 9. 8 drops the stopper of his bottle. 8 picks it up for him, smiles at him, hands it to him.
Well, what about the lawyer? Why didn't he say something?
There are 12 people in here concentrating on this case. 11 of us didn't think of it either.
Okay, Clarence Darrow. Then what about the district attorney? You think he'd try to pull a trick like that? Have her testify without glasses?
Did you ever see a woman who had to wear glasses and didn't want to because she thinks they'll spoil her looks?
My wife. Listen, I'm telling you. As soon as we walk out of the house.
Maybe the district attorney didn't know either.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say.
He is stopped by This momentarily, he stares around the room.
Okay. She had marks on her nose. I'm giving you this. From glasses, right? She never wore them out of the house, so people think she was gorgeous. But when she saw this kid kill his father, she was in the house, alone. That's all.
Do you wear your glasses when you go to bed?
No, I don't. No one wears eyeglasses to bed.
Silence, save for the sound of the rain. No one moves.
It's logical to say she wasn't wearing them while she was in bed, tossing and turning, trying to fall asleep.
How do you know?
I don't know. I guessed. I'm also guessing that she probably didn't put on her glasses when she turned and looked casually out the window. And she herself said that the murder took place just as she looked out and the lights went off a split second later. She couldn't have had time to put glasses on then.
Wait a second.
And here's another guess. Maybe she honestly thought she saw the boy kill his father. I say that she saw only a blur.
3 walks furiously over to 8. Camera dollies in on them.
How do you know what she saw?
He turns to others.
How does he know all these things?
Turns back to 8.
You don't know what kind of glasses she wore. Maybe she was farsighted. Maybe they were sunglasses. What do you know about it?
I only know that the woman's eyesight is in question now.
She had to be able to identify a person 60 feet away at night without glasses.
Can't send someone off to die on evidence like that.
Don't give me that.
Don't you think that the woman might have made a mistake?
No,
It's not possible?
no, it's not possible.
8 turns away and walks down towards 12, camera panning with him. He speaks to 12's back.
Is it possible?
Yes.
8 walks around the room, camera panning with him, to 10, who still sits slumped in a chair. He stands over 10.
Do you think he's guilty?
10 shakes his head tiredly, giving in completely. 8 turns to the table. 3 stands behind 9.
I think he's guilty.
8 walks toward the table, camera panning with him. 4 is now in the shot.
Does anyone else?
No, I'm convinced.
What's the matter with you?
I have a reasonable doubt now.
It's 11-1.
Glares angrily at all of them.
Well, what about all the other evidence, huh? What about all that stuff? The knife, the whole business?
You said we could throw out all the other evidence. Glaring at 2, speechless. Now camera dollies back slowly, holding on 3. He stalks down towards the foreman's end of the table, not able to sit down with the others. He stands with his back towards them. There is a long pause. He is full in camera at the left of the frame. The others in background all watch him and wait. 3 doesn't move.
Well, what do we do now?
There's a long pause.
You're alone.
3 whirls around furiously. 3 is far in the background.
I don't care whether I'm alone or not. It's my right.
Number 8, who still stands behind 4, speaks softly but firmly.
It's your right.
They all wait, watching them as if at bay. Watching, staring at them.
Well, what do you want? I say he's guilty.
We want your arguments.
I gave you my arguments.
We're not convinced. We want to hear them again. We have as much time as it takes.
3 is far in the background. He stands there frustrated for a moment. Then he begins. Slowly, the camera moves in on him.
Everything. every single thing that came out in that courtroom. But I mean everything. Says he's guilty. Do you think I'm an idiot or something? Why don't you take that stuff about the old man who lived there, and heard everything? Oh, take the knife. What, just because he found one exactly like it? The old man saw him right there on the stairs. What's the difference how many seconds it was? What's the difference? Every single thing. The knife falling through a hole in his pocket? Oh, you can't prove that. That he didn't get to the door? Oh, sure. You can hobble around a room and take all the time you want, but you can't prove it. And that stuff with the L and the movies, and there's a phony deal. If I ever saw one, I bet you $5,000 I'd remember the movies I saw that night. I killed my father, as if I ever would. I'm telling you, every single thing that went on has been twisted and turned in here. And that business with the glasses, how do you know she didn't have them on? The woman testified in court, and that whole thing about hearing the boy yell. Listen, I've got all the facts here. You guys.
He pauses and looks around.
Well, what do you want? That's it.
Waiting, looking furiously around.
That's the whole case.
No one answers.
Somebody say something.
Nobody does.
You lousy bunch of bleeding hearts.
No one moves. Everyone watches.
No, you're not gonna intimidate me.
There's no answer.
I'm entitled to my opinion.
There's no answer. And suddenly he strides swiftly to 8, stands in front of him, staring at him with an utter hatred. Camera moves in on them. 3 clenches his fist and stares at 8. 8 stares impassively back. It seems as though 3 must inevitably hit 8. 8 waits for it, hands down. 3 half raises both fists, stands there tensely. His face contorted in silent rage. Then suddenly he turns to the table and bangs both fists down on it. Camera moves in close on his face.
All right. Not guilty.
Camera holds on his face as he suffers silently, while we begin to hear the quiet noise of chairs being moved and footsteps shuffling about the room. We hear a knock on the door and the door being opened. Everyone is up. The guard stands in the doorway. Silently, the jurors get their belongings and begin to walk toward the door. Camera moves in close on the door, catching the face of each juror as he exits. Only number 3 and 8 are left now. 8 walks to the door. He stands in the doorway and looks back at 3. Then he steps out of the room. 3 still stands at the table, head down. The guard looks at him.
Let's go, mister.
3 looks up. Then slowly he goes for his coat. He gets it, puts it on, and slowly walks toward the door. The guard steps outside. As 3 passes the table, he stops, then walks over to it. The knife is sticking in it. He reaches over, pulls it out. He holds it up in front of him and looks at the doorway. Then, with a last burst of anger, he flips it into the table. It quivers there. He turns and walks out, slamming the door. The knife quivers in the table in the empty room. Camera moves in for eye-level shot of the knife. Behind it, we see the window. Rain beats against it. The door to the courthouse building shooting from outside. Rain beats against it. It begins to turn now, and the jurors start to emerge. One by one, they walk into the rain, each reacting with his own maneuvers. One turns up his collar, one pulls down his hat, one holds a newspaper over his head. They begin to move down the steps in groups and singly now. 8 is alone. He walks into close-up, rain beating his face. He raises his collar, looks around, and then walks off. The others begin to spread out now, some turning left, some right, some going straight ahead. Camera moves back and up, ending with a long shot through the pelting rain of the steps and the jurors spreading out silently in all directions, never to see each other again. And finally, they're gone. The rain beats down on the empty steps. Fade out.
Good job. So what do you guys think? Is he guilty?
I don't
Let's have a
know, but
discussion.
I really had to mute myself and cover my mouth because whenever Vicki gets in her villainous mode, I just giggle my butt off because I love it so freaking much.
Yes, I think you're all guilty of doing great performances tonight. That was good. So really good.
Uh,
We're gonna let people say where they can find them and anything about themselves, what they're doing. And so if anybody has to go, they can go. And then those who can stay around afterwards, we'll talk about it a little more. And then, and whenever they have to go, you can leave. So it looks like Jerome, you might need to take off. So you want to go first and tell us all your business?
Thank you, everybody. Great job. I'm Jerome St. Jerome in East Hollywood. Find me on Facebook. Thanks.
All right.
Hey, how did
before
you
you go,
find
Jerome.
us?
here.
Before you
What?
go, Jerome.
Yeah.
If you can send me the link to your Facebook or where you want to be found, so we can put it online for other people to find you to hire you. We'll put that there. And also, if everybody wants to make an angry face real quick, and that we can use for the Instagram poster image. All right, 1, 2, 3. All right, we'll use that. All right, see you later, Jerome.
Nice to meet you,
We'll
Jerome.
look for
Good
him on
job.
Facebook.
Jerome.
Great
Nice to meet
job,
you.
great job. Thank you for the music.
Fun.
All right. And this time we'll go first, Don.
Don Lampisoni, same as usual, donlampisoni.com. I do editing and shoot and make little movies. That's pretty much it.
Awesome. Awesome. And acting and reading
Oh,
and
yeah,
all this
and
other
acting,
stuff.
reading, that's right. Yeah.
I know it feels like you say the same thing every time, but like
yeah.
somebody new might not hear it. You know,
That's true. That's true. Thank you.
That's good.
for reminding me.
And Angelina Peterson.
Hello, I'm Angelina. You can find me on Facebook, Your Adored Life, my fairly new business, and Angel CDPM, most other places.
Sweet, sweet. Next, Heather Lee Cameron.
Hi, my name is Heather Lee Cameron. I'm an actor, I'm a writer, and I'm a creator. My main link is on YouTube, The Storm and Latter-day Saint. All my other main links are there. And I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed working with everyone, and this was fun.
Awesome, awesome. It was. And Toni Flora.
Hello, Toni Flora. Thank you. Find me on Facebook, Instagram at Toni Flora. Doing a couple of film things, series, audio book, or not an audio book. Well, actually, yeah, I may have gotten hired for pay today for my first audiobook or whatever. So yeah, that's it.
That's awesome. Congratulations. And Vicki Dykes.
Vicki Dykes, you can find me on Facebook under Vicki Dykes. I'm on Instagram, YogaGramma7, and you can email me vdykes@shaw.ca. And I'm really hoping to get into some voiceover.
Awesome, awesome.
Disney and Lucasfilm, if you're looking for a villain, go to Vicki. Oh my Lord.
Oh, it's so good.
I'm Jacob Patrick, and come back again to see us all again. We read an older one now, and then we're going to read a futuristic one if you're watching these in order next week, The Matrix. So come take either the red pill or the blue pill. All right, so we're going to close off the main table read, and then we'll have the after table read discussion. So again, great job, everyone. That was awesome.
Thank you for coming.
Yes. All right. Now everyone here. Any initial thoughts you guys had?
Yep. I have a new respect for men and their ties and their snug.
Oh, you were? I didn't even notice
Outfit.
you wore a tie.
Yeah. I even tied it.
I was so stuck on the script this time. I didn't really look over much.
Yeah, you had to focus.
Yeah.
I definitely missed my spots a little bit. Some of the things I thought were great about it is like, and that they tell all screenwriters to do is like, each character is very unique, that character, that each, I mean, you guys helped make that clear by your acting performances that each of the characters are so different, but I think it's even in the writing about how the characters speak and their anger or what their interests are or their backgrounds. And so I think that's one good thing is they made it very unique to each character.
You know what? This actually reminded me a lot of a couple of shows I'm really fond of, Matlock and the CSI franchise. And they're both about investigating crimes and determining who's guilty and who's not. And I was just very happy to be able to participate in this table read because it brought me back to, I still watch the CSIs, but I don't know where to find Matlock on TV. And I just really was happy to be able to put myself in that world a little bit, in those worlds a little bit.
That's awesome. I have another thought to share, but anyone else first? I don't want to take it all. No.
Do it.
I forgot it while I was saying that. So someone else, please.
Well,
Okay.
I don't know. I've always found jury duty is a stressful thing. I actually haven't gotten called for jury duty, but I've been like sitting there waiting, and I got paneled for a minute until I was like, I'm sorry, I was the prosecution's supervisor on law review, so I don't know that I can be unbiased in this case. But yeah, it's a huge responsibility, and I know people try to get out of it all the time. But it's just like, I mean, this screenplay shows the importance of how vital it is for people to be there and to take it seriously and to try. Just the guy sitting there playing tic-tac-toe was a little off-putting. Like, this is really, is it a joke, you guys? Are you serious? We've got somebody's life that we're deciding on here.
Mm-hmm.
And for the time that this was actually originally made, it was kind of eye-opening too. Just the prejudice aspect of it, for that time was just, and the fact that it is actually 12 angry men. Like, you'd never have anyone else on a jury,
Right.
than
Right.
12 angry men. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Has anybody seen the remake?
I
I
haven't, but when Vicki was having the breakdown, Vicki's character was having the breakdown at the end, it made me think of when Matlock, when he discovers the true culprit and finds out that his client is innocent, just it made me visualize that whole scene, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah. Because I'm wondering. Go ahead.
I'm saying that's every episode of Matlock, right?
Yeah, I know, but it was such a good show that I wish to God that
No,
Andy
it was,
Griffith
it
was
was.
still alive so they could make a reboot.
I was going to say which episode, but
Yeah, I was going to see if they fixed that with the remake. And they did different cultures, but they didn't do different genders. So there'll probably be another remake coming soon. I mean, they'll probably do 12 Angry Women, but
Oh, you know what? Maybe we should just film it, all of us,
just
since we've already
12
read the
angry.
script. We know what we're doing, right?
that was one of the points I wanted to make, is that this could be considered, like, a lot of people look for what's a one location script or what's a script with a lot of cast. Like, this could be filmed very, very low budget. I mean, you can choose to or choose not to have the courtroom scene, which is just one scene, extras for one day players for one day, and then the rest is all in one room with your, like, this is one of the ones we read, again, with the smallest number of people we had to cast. Like, again, we have few people reading, so we all had to do 2 roles, but there's only, 15 roles? Something like that. and other movies have way more than that, and all these other sets. And this one has captivated people and been like one of the best movies ever. And it's on such a limited. It's black and white, and people still love it. It's black and white, one location, 2 locations, and like 15 people. I mean, again, that one crowd, the one court scene might have a few more background, but so I just think that's awesome to note that.
12 Angry Citizens, written by Aaron Sorkin. Right?
Did he write one called that?
No, I'm just kidding. That's the.
But yeah, I could totally. Yeah, I think you're totally right. He could, 100%.
You heard it here first, folks.
The other thing I thought was great about this is like how that one moment affected, Toni a lot, like how serious this is, and they're not taking it. It's like a joke. It's like all these things that will get emotional people. But I really like that it seemed like all the arguments that they were doing were good arguments. Like it seems like when you hear just the one side of it, you're like, I actually believe that too. That makes logical sense. And of course, it's a movie, so they perfectly have it timed to reveal the counter argument and the way they build it. But they do it so awesome that you're one way, and then you're, oh wait, the other way, and you can't really guess where it's going because they convince you. And then it's not like they just do a coincidence thing. They lay it out there, and it makes sense. It's just one after another.
And a lot of movies have like a death scene, in the third act. I think the death was when the guy started going off, juror 10, I think it was, right? He started going off on his, sort of racist rant. That was like the death of the idea that he's even guilty, or, in a way, everyone started walking away to the walls, just turning away. That was like, oh, that was a nice.
I loved that they were like that just like, oh, this is disgusting, man. You got to stop.
And it seems like we all saw that. And that's the thing about screenwriting. You like need to like paint a picture in their head, and the way they wrote it, we all saw them one by one leaving and having their back to them. So like, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was really nice.
And all of that. And I know our new reader Jerome wasn't thrilled about reading the directions, but you lose a lot by not reading the directions, because just by saying the dialogue, there's a little bit missing. You wouldn't get that. I walked away and I faced a wall, and then everybody followed me. We all like turned our back on him.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the description helps us prepare for the emotion we need for the character.
And he's right on some of this was, the description was mixed, where I'm reading, I'm like, you almost feel like this was written after they filmed it, because the camera moves and what they're doing is so specific.
Yeah. Some of it was completely unnecessary, but that scene, we needed to be able to see that we all turned our backs on him. Otherwise, he's just ranting, and you don't understand why he's ranting.
And you don't know what they think. Oh, sorry.
I think Jerome was a lovely addition, and I think he was nervous. I remember being nervous the first time I came here. I think he was a lovely addition, and I think we should give him a little hand.
Absolutely.
He was lovely.
Yeah, Jerome was great.
His acting was amazing.
It was very strong, very powerful, very deep, melodic voice. Well done.
Absolutely. I agree with what you're saying there about the screen direction. The action is so important. I mean, a lot of times in movies, that's the only time you get any idea of what's going on. Actually, someone might say something and you don't know why they're saying it at all until you read into the direction part of it. And, it's sort of like subtext in a way, because, you can't see it, what they're doing, even if someone's just sitting there smoking a cigarette, that's, otherwise you wouldn't know. And it's just a regular play, which all that has to be directed. But
radio show.
And right now we don't have any silent movies to read the scripts of. That might be a good idea or something for us to do next year, but there are silent films, you know what I mean? And it's like, well, let's see what that script looks like. And
that would be cool. Yeah.
I have one in mind for you.
Which one's that?
I don't remember the name of it, but I just remember seeing it when I was a kid, and they're cavemen.
Interesting.
I don't know.
I don't know that one.
Completely like, because they don't have words back then, so it's just like I don't know. I'm not a very good caveman.
I remember that movie, and I found it really hard to watch.
Yes,
I don't think I made it to the end.
I
don't
think
know
I
if
did,
anyone
and I was a
has
kid.
taken a screenwriting class ever, but there's an assignment that I used to give out to students that would be like, and I had this myself too, why I gave it out, but it was, you write a short film with no dialogue so that you learn how to write that action description really well, because the word that dialogue's important, but the action description is really important.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And like you're saying, like, go ahead. No,
Oh,
please.
sorry. I just wanted to say that one of the strongest movements you can do on stage is to turn your back to the audience.
Hmm.
And that moment when 11 people out of 12 turned their backs to the audience, it was so powerful. And the play affected people so profusely. It leaves you changed, and it makes you think about when you judge someone, how much of your judgment is actually your past experiences. It's really hard to separate yourself from other people when it's an emotional thing. So yeah, this movie is very, very profound. And I have to say, my husband was on jury duty, and he literally was jury number 8. He was the only one who felt that the man was not guilty. And 11 other people right off the top said, no, he's guilty. And he made them, it ended up being 2 days. They had to be put in a hotel because my husband wouldn't let it go until he showed them that this has been orchestrated and they're trying to put him away and we need to stop it.
Wow.
And he convinced them. 12 people said not guilty in the end.
Wow.
No,
Wow.
hey, that's awesome.
That is-
That's very cool.
Round of
Real
applause
life
for your
example.
husband.
Yeah.
Yeah, he loved this play very much.
I bet. Close to his heart.
Autobiography, if you like pre. Wow, that's awesome. And your note about the turning the back on stage, like, it was interesting in here. It did say for the rest of the play. One part they accidentally slipped that in there. I was like, yeah, interesting.
Oh.
Whoever wrote that.
Oh, and I wanted to share one more thing. When we did the stage production, at the end, they had number 3 put his jacket on and leave by himself. We decided, and it was the director, that jury member number 8 puts the coat onto number 3 and they walked out together. So it changed the end and it actually made it more powerful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds like a great ending.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. It shows again how a director can change it from what's written on the script and how that can elevate it. Everyone has their role in there.
Yeah.
One piece of action that changes, right?
Mhm.
Changes it. Very important.
Absolutely. All right.
Vicki, I loved watching you at that, especially at the very end. Like everyone was great, but in particular, Vicki, like, holy wow.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And I have to say, doing this, every week I get a little bit happier.
Aw.
Being a
That's
part
awesome.
of this is so wonderful. And I love you all.
Oh,
Well, we love
I-
listening to you, Vicki. You've got
Yeah.
some amazing characters. You're very good.
yeah, this is great. No, but as you guys are always saying, or we'll say, like, everybody, like, the nuance of, I love being able to work with you guys, read with you guys every week, and hear, again, we see the differences in the range and what people can do. Like, even Don, like, the different character you pulled out today was cool. And Heather Lee, like, your 2 different characters and their differences. It's like, everybody, it's like, it was awesome. And of course, you too, Toni. Just kidding. And Angelina. So it was great.
Oh yeah. So I just, when we were reading through, because I never read this and I never saw it, And as we were reading the descriptions, I know, I'm sorry, but I didn't.
I know.
was
I know.
going
I'm
to.
giving you a hard time. I'm sorry.
And then it said a German accent. And I'm like, what does that sound like? I have no idea.
You sounded more Russian.
Oh, I know I
German.
did. I know I did. I was like, what sort of similar maybe that I might be able to sort of do? And I know
You
it.
You
I
did
was-
fine. You got the
it,
point
but
across.
that was the idea, just to make it
Yeah.
a little different.
Whenever
Yeah.
I have to do Euro, I always go to like Gru. You know, he does sort of a weird European.
Give us an
Russian
example.
kind of-
Yeah, I don't. All I think of when I think of Gru is a comic book. Was it a comic
It's-
book? Or,
What's that movie with the yellow
it's-
minions?
Oh.
I like to go, you know, and do these
Oh.
things, you know, I'm a Gru. Oh, what are you doing? You know, you just you have to have some lines. to come up with.
Always does the delicate work by hand, my father says. That's a German accent.
Oh, you should have done this
It
part,
is.
man. And you know what? I've actually done the Russian accent well before, but I could not pick it up at this time. Anyways, that doesn't matter. But
Well, you did way better than I would have. I don't think I would even try an accent, and that role required an accent.
I could not remember
yeah.
how I used to do it, but that's okay. So
So that was
Everyone
good.
did very well.
I liked your hat switching too.
And then it got in the way sometimes. No, I ran out of time, so I had the wrong hat on for the wrong character, but just had to go with it. So,
Now
but
you
thank
get why my this from last time I was like,
Yeah. I tried.
yeah, you just gotta throw it on
Yeah.
upside down.
Again, I don't blame you for not seeing it. Like, I mean, it's an older movie, unless I don't even know how I saw it or when I saw it or came across it. I'm glad that I did, but if no one ever shown it to you, you never heard of it, like there's no fault. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So,
But boy, it is powerful.
so was it powerful just reading it? That's,
Yeah, I think so.
I saw it
Absolutely.
first, again, a while ago, and I had that impact from it. And so it came across powerful on the
Oh, yeah.
page too.
Yes.
Cool. And
I-
it was great performances. Go
I
ahead.
liked that I was arguing against myself.
I know.
Partially because like it's kind of gross playing racism. But
Yeah.
you know, so to be able to show the other side too at the same time and be the same person is like, this is cool.
Yeah, you hear it and you're like shaking your head. So you feel for the actor that's reading it that has to say, because they're like, this isn't me at all, but I'm acting this role.
Yeah, you have to. And to give it yeah, I don't know, to give it, I can't think of what I'm saying. It's just, I think it's important to give it all, even if it does feel wrong, because it shows how wrong it is.
Mhm.
If you just
Absolutely.
lightly play something like that, you might be like, oh, well, I don't know, it wasn't that bad. But if
You
you
know
show
what?
how disgusting it is,
You know what? You bring up a point. Back when I played Mother Chow, I was like, really? You're casting me as an Asian?
I
lady
know.
when I'm not Asian. And I'm like, okay.
you had a lady.
If I
who-
have to be an Asian lady, I'm going to be an Asian lady. Because if I don't give the role the respect it is, well, then I'm not being respectful to the culture behind the role.
Yeah, it's always hard to know what to do there. Yeah.
Well, I did my best with it, and I hope nobody was insulted by it. I wanted to respect the culture behind the role, and I hope I did.
Yeah.
And, I'm very grateful for the diversity in roles I get, because, I'm practicing for a play right now. And whenever I do get jobs, few and far between, or whenever I get to audition for jobs, like the different reading helps me with my diction when I'm trying to rehearse for voice or whatever roles. And I am looking for work, by the way. So, yeah. And
Awesome.
so just being able to read the scripts helps me with practice my pronunciation and everything like that. So.
Thank you for that heartfelt and very caring, like the care you take with it and how much it means to you.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. But I do want to say to anybody watching this at any time, we want more diversity in this group. So if you are more diverse than us and you want to read and you want to act in this, please reach out to us.
Mhm.
Okay, tablereadtuesdays@gmail.com. All right.
Well, like, Jacob, if I want people to respect my part of diversity. I need to learn to respect other people. If people's parts of diversity, if I'm given a role that requires some diversity because there's nobody else, I need to be able to
Absolutely.
put myself in the shoes and give it the respect and the honor, and not just, what's the word, whitewash it, just kind of do my best with it. Is whitewash the right word? I don't know.
Yeah, kind of like we did have a Asian actress who was going to play that part, and then she at the last minute couldn't. And that's why she wanted to play that part. She's like, I don't want a role that went to an Asian person to go to a white person or this or that, you know what I mean? But you did a marvelous job with it from what we have.
Yeah, and if I offended anybody, I do apologize. But if I'm ever able to, if I ever need to play ethnic roles, well, I apologize for offending anybody. But, you know, give me French roles or whatever, because I am ethnically European. So, yeah, like Josephine, I was able to do Josephine with nothing on my conscience because I am definitely European.
Awesome. To continue on Angelina's note about playing, you know, a villain or someone bigoted or this or that, another thing I like, or what we would have to do in screenwriting in movies, is give them a little gray area. Like, don't come from a point of view of black and white. Like, they're evil, and I'm going to just write them purely evil. Like, in here, like, and they slowly revealed it on some of these people, which helped. It's like, they didn't really come out from the very beginning and just be bigoted at the beginning. They were trying to hide it and act like they're being logical. And then it came out here and there. So it makes it more believable, because those people don't view them as the villains are black and white. I know lots of times today everybody gets like this, but it just, as we're reading, seems to make the scripts better.
Well, you know what? We're all actors, and we should just realize that we're all actors coming together to read a beautiful script. And if we all looked at ourselves as actors, maybe we'd get along better. We're all coming together to read a script, and we should find joy in that. We shouldn't just look at our differences. We should all just come together and enjoy a script and take pride in acting out a story.
Yeah, having fun. Go ahead, Toni.
Regarding the villain thing, one of my voiceover coaches said that one of the best pieces of advice he got was, even the bad guys think they're good.
Yeah.
So they have their perspective with whatever color glasses they have on. And that hopefully that helps with the perspective that you approach a role from.
Yes.
We're not, always coming at it from, I'm evil. So, but it does. It comes out in the play that they're the bad person, of course, but they think for some reason that they are the good guy.
Yep. 100%. Good advice from your acting coach. I'm just kidding. And from you, thank you for sharing it.
Sure.
All right, you guys. Anything else? No.
About the Matrix.
Yeah. One of my favorite.
Yeah. Yep. Do you have submissions for that already?
I don't think we put out the submission form yet, but
I'll participate. And
so no,
I'll
put that out tonight.
Yeah.
Just give me something evil. I want to bring out my bad side.
You'll be the machine.
I want to kill aliens, and I want to, be evil. Or I want to be
a monster.
Or I want to be an alien. How about that? Because aliens are different, and different is cool, and I'm different. So there you go.
Sweet.
All right. Then it sounds like these are our thoughts on 12 Angry Men. So again, thank you, everybody. Thank you always. I hope you have an unangry rest of your week. See you guys next week.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Oh, you guys. On the carousels on Instagram, where I put the images of us, I want to put like the individual actors afterwards. So if you want to send a separate headshot image to me, please do. Otherwise, I can do a screen grab from the table read tonight.
Oh gosh, I've got like really nice headshots, but I've lost weight since I've got the headshots, so I don't know.
Take more?
Do you know how expensive headshots are, Angela?
Take more free ones.
I'll send a nice one.
My headshot's 20 years old. Oh,
I don't even know what
Well,
I
yeah,
have.
if you don't want to, if you don't, we can use a steal from one of the table
I'll
reads.
send a nice
Just
one.
leaving the option out there.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you so much for
Thank
watching
you.
us, lovely people. Live long and
Yes.
prosper.
Yeah, check out all these people here. Hire them for,
Yeah.
voiceover work, acting work, producing, filmmaking, screenwriting. As you heard, Don used to teach screenwriting. So,
Cool.
yes, we look forward to working with everybody watching in one capacity or another. So thank you all for being here. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Hire us all. We need work.
Bye.